Haha, it is working. There we go. Got it to work. Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the AstroPub. Your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? Welcome. Welcome to a new month, a new week of content. I know I always say this is going to be a short one, but legitimately, I feel like we have nothing this week. Like, the TAC is nice, and that'll be nice to watch through, and then talking a little bit about Invictus and stuff like that, but like, we're sort of in a weird lull, because I'm sure CIG is saving any sort of information they want to give at Invictus, so, which is, we can sort of start there right now. That's in 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from today. So. Size matters. What happens to quality? If you wanted quality, you're going to the wrong place. I am not good quality content. And also, Sen Groper, I know she told you that, but she's lying to you. It's more trying to set expectations, though. I say that, and then someone's gonna be like, "We're gonna end up going like 4 hours because something's gonna happen," and CIG is gonna be, someone's gonna come, it's gonna be like, "Ha, I love my short video, my short one, which is my short videos, which are end up being 4 hours long." Hey, Macklin. So, effectively, we'll go over the Invictus stuff right away. It's not much. They just made the official announcement. Let's take a look at it, then we'll watch the other one. So, it's 13 days, 15 hours, and 49 minutes. And it's going to be at Area 18, which is neat. Citizens are also invited to go to the top of Io North Tower to all new Aegis Interest Tour. Come see firsthand why this frigate is the mainstay of the UEN. Greycat will open the proceedings on day one with a versatile and rugged reveal. So we know that there's going to be a Greycat vehicle. They've already kind of basically talked about that. And we know that there's going to be the TAC, and the last one is the is Anvil's what is it called? Asgard. So yeah, I predict Astro Heart TAC. Yes, of course I love the TAC. We'll watch that next, but. Let's see. Do they have the actual? Oh, they don't. I saw the someone had the actual list. Oh, it's on Spectrum. Here we go. So, one of the big things is DefenseCon is gone, y'all. DefenseCon is gone. So Drake has now finally been integrated into the Invictus launch week. They've completely dropped the DefenseCon logos, which, to be fair, makes sense. Because for those of you who don't know, Drake is part of the UE Navy. It's just not the combat side of the UE Navy. It's on the non-combat, civilian-facing side of the UE Navy. Like, they have an entire fleet of Cutlass Reds and an entire fleet of Vultures. So, yeah, the Navy does use Drake ships, but not in combat roles. So we have things like Misk, for instance, is also not used in combat roles. Like the Starlancer or the Starfarer Gemini and the whole C are both used by the military, but they're used in support roles. Same with Argo, same with Origin, same with Crusader. Like, I guess the M2 is sort of in there, but like most of the ships that are most of the manufacturers that are like present for Invictus are not actually generated towards combat military. So it's like, why is MISC in Invictus when literally they have no combat ships, and the Drake isn't, even though they also don't have any combat ships. So they just sort of yeah, Origin does. Origin 600, there's 600. The 315P was built under military contract. There is, I'm trying to think of what the other ones are. There's the G12, which has G12A, which is a military-based vehicle, but they're all support. Like the 600 is a like a VIP transport for the military. Doesn't it kind of wreck the lore though? Not really. Like, the thing was that the reason why Drake Defense Con happened was because Invictus refused to let Drake into the UAE refused to let Drake into that celebration. So they leaned into that sort of like black sheep thing. They're still going to have the black sheep, but it also makes sense that Drake over the last several years has been trying to clean up their image. So the fact that they've been trying to clean up their image, they probably struck a deal with the Navy in order to be able to be part of Invictus celebrations so that they could, because they, again, like I said, they technically are part of the Navy. It's just the Navy doesn't like to talk about it.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space.
Probably a temporary piece.
You can never, ever take away my space game.
That was at IAE, not Invictus.
Shinobi Trip _ just resubscribed for 27 months. 07.
Thank you, Sir Shinobi, for that. 27 months. You're very important. Public, very impressive, surveying pedestrian. This, that's your fault. You're good night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. I can also tell you exactly why they're doing it this year. It's too much work. Basically, the amount of work and destabilization DefenseCon might have is too big for CIG at this point. That's the meta reason. And at least in lore, they've been pushing towards this direction for a while. Okay, hey Paul, what are your thoughts on the idea of single ship haul for the entire Invictus? I like the idea each room is dedicated to one type of ship, but I feel so many roles like bomber and dropship were left out. That again is almost certainly because of technical issues. Do you all not remember what happened at IAE last year? In IAE last year was kind of a disaster. Remember, they were supposed to have 2 halls going at the same time, and instead one was always broken. So a haul would last for a single day and then just not work. So if they're doing a single haul this year, it almost certainly is because last year didn't work, or Invictus didn't work, and they haven't had the time to sit down and figure out why IAE didn't work. So they're just going with what works. I think there's this belief that CIG put the scrub team on Star Citizen and all of the Chads went to go work for Squadron 42. And that's still the case. From what I've heard internally, that's not the case. It's not how any of this works. what you don't realize is that CIG is not a small company, but they're still not effective because they still are this huge, unwieldy beast that's trying to figure out how to do development across like 5 different studios. And I know, we're just, but after 12 years, it's like, that's not how any of this works. Because it's not like after 12 years, they didn't have 1,000 people 12 years ago. It's the fact that they've been evolving. If anything, it's Chris Roberts' fault for expanding the studio. I don't know why he did it. I think he just fell under the allure, the sexy idea of the mythical man month not being real. We could obviously increase production if we just hire more people. Like, no, it's not even that, Locke. It's not. I severely doubt that like there are 5 people in a box of string that's working on Star Citizen, while like 999 people are working on Squadron 42. The issue is the people who are working on Star Citizen are working on the things that they said they were going to work on for Star Citizen. And I think people don't fully grasp that when CIG says they're working on like the transit system and missions, they're working on the transit system and missions. Are they working on other things? Yeah, but the vast majority of resources are going into that. So if anything minor happens that might disrupt anything that is stability in the game, it's just going to get yeeted. It doesn't matter. So unless it's dedicated to those 2 things that they're fixing or creating, or it will not disturb the thing, then it gets yeeted. That's what you mean. And that's not the case, Locke. That's not the case at all. It's a complete misunderstanding of CIG's allocation. Are there a lot of people who are doing working on Squadron 42? Yes. And there's still people who were hired to work on Squadron 42. They have their own dedicated QA teams. They have their own dedicated people who work on the game. But the people who were working on Squadron 42 who moved over to Star Citizen have done so. And they are working on Star Citizen. It's just the resources available for the people who are working on Star Citizen is limited because it's basically being dedicated to 3 things. Fixing brand new transit system and brand new mission system. CIG is a startup that got VC, added 600 people, and still has a 4-page employee manual. I mean, yeah, that's a good analogy. And that's the thing that's like, I think a lot of people don't grasp when it comes to CIG. Because if I say it's badly run, CIG is poorly run, people immediately either go to the defensive, like how dare you, Paul? How dare you say my game is poorly run? Or they go immediately like, yes, Paul, Chris Roberts eats babies, and he's taking all the money and blowing coke off of hookers' asses on his personal yacht. It's like, no, neither of those things are true. And it's painting with a generalized brush to say, oh, yeah, that's poorly managed. It is poorly managed, but it's not universally poorly managed. Squad 42 is still taking the priority, but when it comes to Squad 42 taking the priority, it doesn't mean that Squadron 42 is taking all of the priority. Let me put it this way. The teams that were working on engineering are still working on engineering. Base building, Planet Tech. Those teams are still being utilized for Star Citizen. It's just because those things are disruptive to the core gameplay experience and can cause a lot of bugs, they are not being added to the game until they can handle the new transit system and the new mission system. That's it. And it's like, well, that seems like it's a simple thing. The new transit system is going to take them at least 6 months, and they started it in February. And that's at best. So the new transit system could be going until September. And the mission system is slowly being worked on and added as we see it, but again, 6 to 9 months. Just need more operations management. The CIG can't keep producers. They fucking churn through producers like crazy. How? I don't know. I just, like, every time I talk to new people who work at CIG or talk to people I know at CIG, it's like, who the fuck? Wait, you got a new producer? Oh yeah, the Phoenix is also another reason why Origin's on there. Where in the show is kept the Phoenix? I haven't found in the room yet. I don't know. I haven't looked. It should be in there, though. Oh, the TAC's gonna be broken as shit, y'all. 4 size 5 guns. It's like Redeemer fans fucking cry. Like lick the tears of the Redeemer fans, because the TAC is now the Redeemer. And fucking try to fucking change my mind. It's the Redeemer with everything the Redeemer is supposed to have. I will say that every one of the patches so far have been good overall. Yes, 100%. I was fucking surprised how stable Free Flight was. So whatever CIG is doing, it's working. So, like, keep that in mind. Except the TAC is 2 times the size when we move like the Misk Whale it is. True, but the reason why people liked the Redeemer wasn't because it was wasn't just because it was super fast. It was also because it had guns that would rip things apart. It also has the ability to carry troops like the TAC was, or like the Redeemer was supposed to. It carries like 8 people, if not 10. It is a baby Carrack, but it's a baby Carrack that has gunship. That's a gunship, because the Carrack barely can use any of its guns for the pilot. The pilot has access to missiles and guns in the TAC. I fear for the TAC though. The nerfs will eventually get me will leave me pondering. If you're buying the TAC for power, don't, because it's just going to get nerfed. I have a TAC because it's literally what CIG has been shooting for the last 3 years, is a fuck around with your mate's ship. 4 to 6 people jump on a ship and go fucking do things. That's been the ships they've been trying to make forever. The Perseus isn't a great example of that ship. The TAC is another example of that ship. I fully expect more of that ship to emerge in the near future. It's probably as slow as the Max is, honestly, which isn't too bad. I don't think I didn't see that pun there, Shinobi. You can't redeem her. She has no tact. 600 Eyes, another example of that, and no rework because it's not Origin's time yet. All mission type ship to use with mates, exactly. Which is what CIG wants to do with the game in general. Like that's the push they've been going for a while.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit.
You
can even take away my space.
I've tried to. X doesn't understand it.
But you can
he defaults to his experts.
Ever.
And I'm like, his experts are wrong.
My space game.
He just hates the Starlancer in general.
Draft_ just resubscribed for 22 months. WTF was that 4 minutes IAC? Sub money goes where?
To hire the artists to make all the sub gear. That's where it goes. Thank you so much for that. 22 months of support. You're very important, pub, very impressive for any pedestrian. This is your fault. You're drinking hot. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Not to shit on CIG too hard, but you get more entertainment out of that $5 a month than you do out of your $5 to $10 a month with CIG. I guarantee it. That's not difficult though. I stream, my videos and streams go longer than the entirety of CIG's monthly. I stream more a week than CIG does a fucking month, if not a year.
Hey, a tip.
Scuba chat at $5. Happy office hours. We finally got the TAC baby LFG. I know it's about 2 weeks away, but I've been waiting patiently for that trailer, haha.
Yeah, I had to.
Open mouth smile.
We'll watch that in a moment. Thank you so much for that $5 there, Scuba. Also wonder how it competes against the Connie and Corsair, if it's competing against those anyhow. It's not going to compete well against them in terms of pure firepower. The Corsair is still a beat stick. The Corsair still is and will always be the go-to solo use ship for violence for that. And the Connie is similar. The TAC is mostly designed for the squad-based gameplay. It can be used solo, but the real value of it is when you have 4 to 6 people, if not 10 people. I feel like the Max is going to have low health and armor in comparison. Yes. It's just Mirror's attack, just a spirit gunship. It is. It's a spooky. That's the reason why I've tried to explain this to X in the past, which is the TAC is just an AC 130, or what is it? AC. What was the spooky? Look it up. Oh, AC 47. AC 47. Thank you. Kind of like an AC 130. I mean, even in the video, they fucking fly like an AC 130. It's like the video team at ISC knew the fucking assignment. I'm calling my TAC the spooky. No, the 47 was the spooky. It was Puff the Magic Dragon. It was called the spooky, but the Spectre is the AC 130. And everyone forgets about the AC 119. That thing looks baller, though. Ooh, its technical name is Ghost Rider. Yeah, we're talking about 60-year-old play, the AC-47. Because that's the kind of fans that follow Star Citizen aviation nuts. Tags would be perfect for orgs and roleplay groups. That's what I was saying. It is the roleplay stuff. Finally, a really put together thus far solo to group game play in all missions. Yeah. Yeah, the Ghost Rider, the AC-130J. I just looked it up on the Wikipedia. The H was the Spectre. Oh yeah, Spooky was AC-132. That was the U. Yeah, buy it in game. Thank you so much for that raid. Welcome everyone for more about stream. My name's Paul Berserker 1 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here. TheAstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Got a good one for you. How y'all doing? I make a joke in my oh, by the way, Saturday is when the Banu lore video is coming out. The next lore video that's coming out is the fighters and bombers of the UE Navy. I'm already halfway through writing that one. I make a joke about how the tally is actually just the B-52. It's more shaped like the Lancer, but it's that joke about how it's so fucking old. It's the second oldest ship in game in terms of lore. It was built in 2944 or 2544. Not too bad. We're going smooth, and an arrow shot us down for no reason. Yeah. I made a joke. I'm making a joke in that video where I think CIG should put the B-52 in game. Please. Give us a B-52 CIG. Yeah, it's super old. It's likely, based off of lore that I've discovered, it's likely the first small ship to have an energy shield. Because it was built during the height of the Tavaran War, and it was talked about how it like fundamentally changed how ships were built and how things work. It's like it had an energy shield in 2544, and while human ships did have energy shields, they only were on larger ships with larger power plants. So the likelihood is that humans captured Tavaran shield tech and then reverse engineered it and then stuck that bitch into a Retaliator. So the Retaliator was the first ship to be manufactured with those smaller shields in place, which would make it scary as shit because it would be able to take a lot more pounding and also reduce the amount of armor it was forced to carry to stay alive. So I mean, the B-52 is probably going to be flying the 2070s. I mean, yeah, and that's sort of the lore of the tally is in that B-52 range. Like, I could definitely see multiple generations of Navy pilots who have flown a Retaliator, the same Retaliator, over the course of like 400 years, because that's what's literally happened with the B-52. And the strangest thing is, it's only certain now that you're sort of like finally getting to to stretch people's minds into this. But it's like the reason why these ships are so old is the same reason why the F-15 is still being made in the United States. And people go, well, yeah, well, it's the F-15E is, or EX is being built, but it's brand new. It's basic, but it's like, but the outside hasn't changed that much since 1970. Still the same fucking plane, but updated. That's literally what like the Gladius you're flying is not literally built in 2580. It was built like 4 years ago. It just has the same exterior. So it's like, that's the reason why they're so old. When people try to get snippy about it, I'm like, it's because literally they're reflecting the reality of how planes are manufactured today. Because like, why do you change the F-15? Why do you keep building F-15? Because no one has ever fucking beat it. It's like, why would you ever bother? Like, it's just fucking good. It's good at what it does. Damn thing is, I think it's undefeated in aerial combat. Nothing was more frustrating than hearing B-1s calling on station and shitheads not shooting at us. So the Starlancer TAC is finally going to kill my Carrack. I think it's going to be good for it's smaller than the Carrack is the big thing. The F-16 is being built for the same reason, and that's just the budget F-15. That's just what we learned when the F-15 was so fucking expensive to build. Let's make a cheaper version. No, TAC is, I mean, the TAC is as much of Explorer as the Corsair is. It's a small Polaris, yeah. It goes TAC, Perseus, Polaris. 105 and 0, look out below, is an unofficial motto for the F-15, yeah. What's the gun they just stole around? The Colt 1911? Yeah. The new F-15's a missile boat that will deliver missiles to stealth planes ahead of it. But yeah, I mean, that's my point. It's like, that's the narrative arc of Star Citizen ships. Why haven't they gotten rid of the Retaliator? Because the Retaliator still does what it fucking does, what it says on the tin. It takes torpedoes and shoves them up capital ships' asses and watch them explode. And it can do so in large squadrons for half the price of a Polaris. Because you built so many of these fucking things that parts are fucking everywhere. The Browning M2 machine gun, that's the other one. The two things I want in Star Citizen as a joke is the B-52 and a heavy machine gun that's just the Browning M2. Like, not even like a cheeky hee-hee, this is like, but no, it's the fucking Browning M2. UE standard like infantry support ballistic machine gun is just the Browning M2. Not because it's the best machine gun ever built, not because it's effective, it's the most effective gun ever built, but because there's so fucking many of them. Bearing N3, eh? We have a space AK. There's a space AK in the game. We see it in Squadron, but we don't actually have it in Star Citizen yet, which makes me sad. I think they would win a lot of points. People would think it would be both funny and interesting. It would also piss a lot of people off, which was why you should do it, CIG, because those people will talk, and when they talk, they get attention. Free fucking advertising. You put the Browning M2 as the Browning M2 in the game that people can use, you will get gun channels who will criticize whether the Browning M2 is properly modeled, if it's properly used. You'll get actual military folks who use the goddamn thing to decide if it actually is accurate or not. That shit is fucking print you fucking advertising right there. And don't tell me there isn't somebody in your offices who wants to put a Browning M2 in Star Citizen. It's not the Karna. The Karna is the spiritual AK. Mosey Nagata bus, the Saddam edition. Did they use them in the Iraqi army? Or is there like a blinged out one that I'm missing? Because I know there's like a blinged out gold and silver one that like Saddam's kids had. Can't take a step in pyro without tripping over a Karna. Exactly, because they're fucking space AKs. They're cheap as fuck to make. Thank you. I'll pull it up right now. I was about to do that. Okay. We're gonna watch the intro, and then we're gonna get to the actual timestamp. No, I know Russia's using Mosins today because they built so many of them. That's just Russia. They changed this, by the way.
Archangel 6, come in.
Go for 6.
I'm getting a faint contact on bearing 287. You picking that up?
Yeah, got it. Scanning now. We're clear. Commercial vessel out of Vega 3. Reminder that civilian traffic is restricted under lockdown.
Copy that.
Archangel, this is Krugeri.
Come back, Krugeri.
Redirect to sector 7 Bravo Echo for immediate tasking.
Copy that. On our way.
Oh, fancy Astro. They cut that one, the little loop, because people got mad at it. We'll talk about it, Yuri. We'll talk about it. I've got over it explicitly. was the time stamp? 1440. Okay, 1240.
Not, can't hurt, right? Exactly.
We've also been capturing pickups for our lead female player character, as well as wildlines for our various enemies that you all will encounter throughout the game on both foot and in your cockpit. These consist of a range of responses and reactions that you as the player can trigger, which has been the culmination of efforts by the gameplay and AI teams. This means that you're going to have to tangle with some very smart and reactive bad guys
Space AK
to complete your mission.
He's got a Space AK. I think it shows right here. Space AK. Space AK. You can see it a little bit better here. Right there. It looks like the same group that does the Ripper and Dead Rig. Maybe. I just realized my Mosin turns 100 this year. Congratulations to your Mosin. All right, I'm going to also pull this up. Let y'all listen to this because this is one of my favorites. This is the actual that song, the bagpipe song, is this. There we go. Why is it unlisted? Because it was part of the newsletter. So you had to, if you subscribe to the Squadron 42 newsletter, it was part of that. The Northwood Highlanders Bachal. Yes. But anyways, in conclusion, add the Modus to the game, CIG. And if you do, I would like a line in Squadron 42 Part 2 that's just said in what was it? When was it made? 1911? It was 1914. $1917. So 1918. So it was started design 1917, was finished 1918. I want a line that says something to the effect of, in 1918, John Moses Browning did not create the best machine gun of all time, of ever built, or the most efficient machine gun ever built, but the most useful machine Ken ever built. And we've never been able to defeat his perfection. Over 1,000 years, we have still yet to defeat this perfection. Shit, that sounds amazing. That's what happens when you have the guy who wrote the fucking Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack writing for your fucking video game. All right, I'm gonna turn the music off. We're gonna watch the 4-minute Starlancer TAC. I mean the space AC-130.
Starlancer TAC is a variant of the Starlancer series. It kind of takes the Starlancer chassis and outfits it with a more offensive loadout. It's got remote turrets on top. The co-pilot's got some fun little missile turrets at the rear to keep people off the back end. You don't have access to every single gun on it. There's only 4 pilot control.
Take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Iris Dread Tide just resubscribed for 28 months. Hello and welcome. You have been sent to an official Horizon, the City in the Clouds facility, trademarked, all rights reserved. Please enjoy visit in the Stormwells, relaxing at Green Circle's Infinite Spa, or watching CIG's terrible decisions and lack of understanding of the community lead to stinky dumpster fires. Anyways, enjoy your time in the City in the Clouds. Or don't, I'm not your boss. I'm not even an officer.
Do you want to be? We'll make you an officer, Iris. Thank you so much for that 28 months of support. You're a very important bubber, very impressive, very pedestrian. Very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Anyone know which Squadron newsletter the link the songs? January. It was January of this year.
Old guns. You'll notice immediately from the exterior that it has these new 2 twin size 5 man turrets.
What makes this MISC is the shape language that was used to make this turret.
Do I still do 40K? I do. I do a lot of 40K. I'm just, this month is basically me heads down on content because I need to kind of catch up and get ahead with content for the summer. But at the end of this month, I'm definitely going to be, I just finished my Space Marine army a couple months ago. Not finished, but I got it to a point where it was good. So I'm going through the rest of my orcs and getting them done. Because I've got like Achillicans, I've got Defcoptas, I've got a unit of Storm Boys, and then I've got the new Tank Bustas that I have to kind of go over and finish. And then after that, I'm doing my Tau because I've got a bunch of Kroot to get done, some Crew Talks, and then some Crew Carnivores, and I think one more Crew, and then I also have Vespid. And then I also have what are they called? Riptide. I have a Riptide to paint. So knock out the orcs, knock out the Tau. Then I'm done with the Tau, and I'm probably done with the orcs. I've got plenty of orcs. And then I can finally go back and finish my guard army, which is massive. Is the Gladiator lore considered bad or was considered bad for a while? It was bad because it was a scam. It was built off of a scam, but they eventually learned what they could do with it and discovered it's a pretty fucking good little bomber, and it became really, really good. It literally is the bomber that is best used by the UEE against the Vanduul. It is so fucking effective against the Vanduul. What's your next army? The Talons of the Emperor? My next army is currently finishing the army I have because I have been defeated by tariffs. I am not spending more money than I already have on this sort of thing. I need to finish up what I have before I get back into that. I got plenty of stuff too. I've got like several tanks to finish. I've still got entire Marine. I've got an entire Dark Angels army, which I have built and I have not yet painted. So, to give you the context. So, once I get my Orcs and my Tau and my Guard done, then I will go back to do the Marines. And that by that time, it'll be 10th edition anyways, or 11th edition anyways, so. What's the oldest flyable ship in game right now? The Retaliator. In the near future, the Perseus. The Perseus was built in 2520. The Retaliator was built in 2544. And then the Gladius was built in 2580 something, maybe 2560 something. It was shortly after the war. What's the oldest as in ship game model? Probably the Freelancer or the Connie. One of those two. There's some of the original ones. Everything else has been updated since then. The Freelancer recently got its components, so it's probably newer. The Connie is probably older. Painting is therapeutic. A great philosopher once said, 458 WinMag will work on aliens because it doesn't matter how technologically advanced you are, you can't stop the laws of physics. Hey, listen, I can imagine the Browning M2 to be an effective weapon against the Vanduul. Yeah, sure, your body is made of armor, but these are bullets that are designed to kill light tanks. I can't imagine a Vanduul being very effective missing a head or with a hole punched through its chest. Will they keep some ships classic to distinguish them from newer ships? Probably not until they've gotten everything done. CIG is in such a, like... CIG is in a rhythm where they're releasing new ships because they have to release new ships because that's how Star Citizen keeps funded. They're getting ships released that haven't been released yet, so like old concept ships, and then updating older ships to make sure that they function in the game. Once that rat race is sort of finished, probably with the older ships being updated, then maybe they'll go back to some of the older models and give them some functionality, but I doubt it. Oh yeah, the Aurora, but I think the Aurora is actually newer than the Connie in terms of its in-game model.
It replicates the exterior of the ship, which contains round forms, welded forms, and chunky shapes.
MISC as a manufacturer are kind of really proud of their manufacturing and they're not afraid to show it. You kind of see all the compound forms that reveal the underlying structure, where the fuel cells are, but it's a little more refined. Paneling is a lot cleaner. It's not something like a Drake ship where everything's just completely exposed.
I really like the MISC look. It's got this sort of darker stealth armor, so it looks really like sleek. The guys have done a really great job with the lighting on it. It's got this like really mean looking red lighting. It just looks really sick.
It does not have a cargo lift, but it still has your cargo bay in the back for 96 SCU and space for holding ground vehicles. And you also have the addition of a hangar up top.
There were a lot of requests for a version that could carry a ship, so I'm glad we've managed to figure that out.
It can accommodate one Fury, but if you are a good pilot, you can accommodate two as well.
What we've done is we've stripped out the Max's separate habitation rooms and replaced those with the hangar.
It's not that much big, but it's compact. It has a landing pad there with really cool small refueling parts.
We've extended the Max's habitation kitchen area to have its own bunk room.
There's its own bunk room, so there's 8. Not bad.
On the lower deck, we've replaced the long cargo bridge sort of area with a troop deployment area where some soldiers can jump out of like an extending gantry. And between that and the cargo bay is a small medical room.
No other MISC ships has a medical bay, so it was a bit hard at the first to get used to it, like how the design will be. What I feel the people will notice most will be the aesthetic of it. These bright lights and those metal floors. It's a bit high-tech, but it's not like very high maintenance.
The engineering and the cockpit are the same as the Max.
And in the cockpit, it's very spacious. It's accommodate pilot, co-pilot. It looks really cool because it's integrated with the bridge.
The turret room is located in the belly of the ship. At first glance, it resembles a shrine to warfare with all the red lights around and the ammunition.
People were saying that's cringe, and I was like, no, I like that. I don't think that's cringe. That's an artist tipping their hat to what their inspiration was. And I get what he's saying. It's like fucking shell casings everywhere and it's bathed in this red light. I can imagine this as being like someone's interpretation of what a modern, mostly atheist sort of society would see as a monument to combat, to warfare.
And the turret seats on the left and the right. It looks really cool.
Look at that.
The animations are really cool. From the hatch closing over the player to the seat rotating and going into the turret and the guns sliding out in preparation for battle.
The Starlancer would be for like teams of players who really like missions in a large group of like soldiers. As well as like the actual people crewing the ship and the turrets.
That's
You've
fucking
got quite a lot of
AC-130.
space for ground pounders with rifles. The cargo bay in the back can be used for like some of the smaller vehicles like the Cyclone. I think it's a really good ship.
Adam, you say smaller vehicles like the Cyclone. Like we're not going to stick fucking like mechs in the back of that thing.
For like just team play.
Neat. Tap the roof. You can fit so much archaeology in this bad boy. Think they'll put the Starlancer TAC in the PTU before IFL? Possibly, if they need to test it. They may not. Okay, if it has its own refueling, what about rearming like missiles? For what? For like the ship itself? For like the Fury? I don't know. Oh yeah, what's the rumor on battle exosuits? It's already in Squadron. They've made a battle exosuit for Squadron. There is a battle mech in Squadron. We don't know where it takes place, but it's definitely there. And the question is, will they release it into the PU before it ends up before Squadron releases? With the question. The January Squadron 42 newsletter is where that was posted, Rushoff. I think it's going to stay about the same as what it was when it was in pre-sale. What was it in pre-sale? Like, it's pretty expensive. It was like $200, wasn't it? $200, $300? Yeah, that mech is more of a combat version of an ATLS rather than the mech that they have. The major difference is the exosuit, heavy armor, Titan suit that they have showed off in concept art multiple times is I'll just show it off. I always like the excuse to show it off. You can see the origins of the You can see the origins of the So you can kind of see the origins of the ATLS here, because notice how it kind of goes down in the front. You can see like this would slide down in the front so you can get out. And you can see that you have the arms, but the arms are inside an armored carapace rather than being out. And then where's the other one? This is it in maintenance mode. So you can kind of see the same arm controls as you see with the ATLS. You can kind of see the movement and such. And this is the concept art for it in active combat. You still see the same stuff there. With the little helmet. Yeah, it's kind of like apple seeds, similar. Good night, Locke. Thanks for hanging out. They said the refueling hangar has refueling for the Fury. Oh, you could probably stick missiles inside that place for sure. Like you can do that now. You just have missiles kind of loose leaf and put them in. And a massive volt gun. Yeah. Like a size 1 volt gun. You got to see the backpack too on that thing. There's a backpack on this one. Not really on this one. Gonna see the arms though. My favorite story about this is that you know who built this? This is a fucking revenge. This machine is spite. It's spite made whole. It is generational hate turned into a weapon. This machine was designed by Virgil Limited, named after the system that was conquered by the Vanduul, which forced refugees forced people out of their homes and into Vega, where they were forced to live. They created their own company to make armor, and specifically so that they could beat the Vanduul to death. And they developed this as a way of killing more Vanduul. This is a battle armor created out of pure hate. A single tear is going down some Black Templar's face. Be like, it's so beautiful. It's designed to kill Xenos. So where all those systems that were already conquered by the Vanduul already mostly have V names, or was that added after? The V names came after, but any unknown Vanduul system that is suspected to exist has a V name. But not all the Vanduul systems that have been conquered have V names. For instance, there's Virgil, which is there, but it's also Caliban was conquered.
TK Rex just had a space baby. Thank God it's Thursday. I was running out of things to listen to and was in serious danger of having to listen to my own thoughts.
Thank you, TK Rex, for that 9 months of support. You're very important, probably very impressive of any pedestrian. This your father. I'm drinking that. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Sorry about what happened to that Titanfall game. It's okay. Every so often, once a year for the last 7 years, there's been rumors of a Titanfall 3 that brings everyone's hope up, and then EA laughs as they crush the wind out of the collective community's body, and then smash our face in. It's happened every year. Oh, EA confirmed that they were working on a Titanfall game. They're working on a Titanfall game in the Titanfall universe with Titans that was based around an extraction shooter mechanic, and they canceled it. They fired 100 people who were working on it. Yeah, Orion, Odin, not Odin, but yeah, Tiber. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, extraction shooter. And it's like, it's by Respawn, guys. If there's one person who I trust to do something decent with a genre like that, it's Respawn. It's the people who basically invented modern shooters. Why are they so afraid of their own IP succeeding? Because they've always been afraid of it. Titanfall 2 was left to die. Titanfall 1 was pushed out before it was done. EA doesn't like Titanfall. They've never liked Titanfall, and it has succeeded in spite of EA. Like, the reason why you never heard about Titanfall, even though it's the best game that's been released in the last 30 years, if not one of the best. There's not even an argument about that. It's like, it is one of the best games that has ever been released in the 21st century. The reason why you don't hear about it is because it was released 1 week after Battlefield 1. 1 week. And a week before Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It was sent out as a fucking roadblock. It was trotted out as an attempt to kill or to slow down Call of Duty. Of course, there's bias in that statement because I'm a huge fan of it. But every single person you'll talk about who's a fan of Titanfall 2 or Titanfall and Titanfall 2 will say Titanfall 2 is one of the best games ever made. Not many like fans of series like of a video game, even super fans, will say it's one of the, it is consistent across the entire fandom. You will hear people say that. Was that the second attempt? Because the first time they tried to kill it was much pressure to go to multiplayer that they gave up and made Apex. That was the third time. The first time was literally Titanfall had a fucking story. They had a campaign that was planned out, but EA got impatient upon waiting for them to complete that campaign, and so they had to send it out before they finished the campaign. So instead, they made this weird campaign story stuck to the single player experience or to the multiplayer experience. So it was going to the multiplayer maps with some cutscenes, basically. It was an excellent game. Yeah. Still one of the best ever made. In terms of its pacing for the single player, in terms of its gunplay for the multiplayer, and single player, its gunplay, its movement mechanics, its integration of scale with its Titans and versus it is so perfectly balanced. It's not quite as balanced as the first Titanfall game, but holy fuck. You gotta remember that pretty much no movement shooters did the things that Titanfall 2 did. I do not believe, based off the rumors, that Titanfall 3 or this Titanfall extraction shooter was going to be PvP only, because all of the leaks were mentioning PvE modes. So I firmly believe what Titanfall's extraction shooter was. And if anybody at Respawn wants to reach out to me and talk to me about it, fucking please. Holy shit, I would love to hear the whole details. was inspired partially by games like Helldivers, where you go in with a multiplayer team, you do an extraction shooter combat without PvP or with PvP optional, but you mostly fight PvE content, and then extract with resources or something else like that. Helldivers is an extraction shooter. As much as people don't want to admit it, Helldivers is an extraction shooter. But no one calls it an extraction shooter because it doesn't have a PvP element, but it has the same mechanics. You go in with a specific, well, you also have a mission, which is not always the case with an extraction shooter. But you go in, you complete an objective, you have side objectives you complete and leave. Yeah. And the thing is how I believe that is because they added Frontier Defense in Titanfall 1 because people complained there wasn't PvE. So they added PvE in Titanfall 1, and then they added it in Titanfall 2. So they would have known that people would have wanted a PvE mode in Titanfall 3, so they would have just added a PvE mode. Because I also guarantee you that's what would have been the Titanfall extraction shooter, was a mission. You go in, complete a mission, and leave. I have a low opinion of EA. They're two-faced. I thought when I met them at SIGGRAPH. I have still believed that the way to go with a Titanfall universe is to create Titanfall mercenaries. Take take Mech Warrior mercenaries, that style, but Titanfall. You're welcome. And that's basically what I described. You go in, you do a mission, and you leave. But I'm sure that they would have had an PvP mode, a PvPvE mode, a PvE mode for their extraction shooter idea, because that's the kind of thing that Respawn does. They act like a toxic equity firm. I don't know if Jin's here, but Jin probably has the most direct experience working with them in the community that I know of. And from what I've heard about EA is that EA is both the best and worst company to be with. When I hear extraction shooter, I only think of Tarkov. It's because extraction shooter is a bad term. Because extraction shooter is about a very specific version of a game. And I don't think it necessarily means that. Because there's plenty of extraction shooters that exist that aren't Tarkov. But EA is very non-functional IP hoggers. They really left the gaming community for a while, hoping they'd come back. I mean, at this point, I really hope Titanfall, they drop Titanfall entirely. EA's never given a shit about it. Like, there's no reason for them to care about it. Respawn clearly is this is probably the last gasp for Respawn to actually give a shit about it. So, Titanfall's dead. It's not coming back. What we'll see is a spiritual successor to Titanfall come out, and it'll do well enough for EA to sort of pretend they care about Titanfall again. And the only way they'll make a new Titanfall game is if that spiritual successor is fucking amazingly done well. But someone's going to do it at this point. I think we're all but sure that somebody who's inspired by, the movement shooter that was Titanfall will create a Titanfall clone. Who would pick it up, though? I don't know. But we do have, at least 3 different mech games, multiplayer mech games, that are being developed right now. Plus at least 2 different spiritual successors that are being created by fans of Titanfall. With one of them is like a steampunk-inspired style, so it's like... What was that one that was like a tactical RPG? That was like an alternate universe World War I. It's like that. And I think there's another one that's diesel punk inspired. Iron Harvest, that's what I was thinking about, yeah. Steampunk is sand. There's a Wargaming's but Titan or mech game. Steel Hunters. Okay. All right, I'm gonna play the trailer.
Omega Day. Omega Day, 2067. We witnessed the end of the old world and the beginning of an unimaginable power. It unleashed the promise of our civilization, forging souls into steel, turning hope into a hunt for the fate of humanity. For Starfall.
Neat.
Remember this day, Hunter. We were built for victory. We are humanity's last chance.
Attention. Starfall site identified. Rival factions inbound.
Prepare to deploy.
This is an attraction shooter?
Entering the hunt. Let's get you home.
Born to do this. To hunt and fight for freedom.
You will suffer my strength before you even see me. I am the apocalypse!
Like a hero shooter.
They got me good. Hang on. I don't leave my partners behind. Revive it now. Let me
Consider your death part of the plan. This isn't over.
You will face impossible odds. Remember, you're an emblem of hope. Unleash the hunter within.
It seems like a mech-based hero shooter. It's not bad though. This is from Wargaming though. Not giving my data to Russian oligarchs, only American ones. I just want to play Armored Core. This was released 4 months ago though. We're in the middle of a mech revolution. Armored Core brought back mechs. A combination of Mech Warrior being revived from the fucking dead and Armored Core coming out has basically brought back mechs. And I think Titanfall has some small play in there too, because it's one of the few new IPs that came out during this time. Mech Break. Yeah, Mecha Break. Now there's even a mech farming game. I don't doubt it. There's also a couple other mech games. War Robots was pretty recently. There's like 2 new ones that came out. I need to know what these what these games are that are coming out, because we've got Hot Mech Summer coming up in a month. For those of you who don't know, Hot Mech Summer is a summer where I play at least once a week. We play a mech game of some kind. So we try to look into games that are not strictly stuff we play. So I'm going to play Armored Core this year, for instance. Are we playing Gundog again? Yes, at some point. I do have it. I need to play through it. But you say that, but Gundam games never left. Well, Gundam games are different. It's kind of like saying space games never left by like pointing at the X series of games or the or like Eve. It's like, yeah, it had its niche, but no one even in the Gundam community, nobody in the Gundam community likes the Gundam games. I've never heard people like argue for the like why the mech games are like Gundam games are good. Yes, I'm going to play the Ghost Bear DLC for the clans. I haven't even beaten the first one because I was doing that with Loken, and I have to browbeat him into doing that again. Oh, Paul, Gundam fans are like a smaller version of Star Wars games. That's the thing. I am also a fan of 40K. I understand. 40K games are the same way. There are no good 40K games that exist. There are decent games. The closest one to being a really good game is Space Marine 2. But like, there are legitimately good Warhammer fantasy games, Vermintide and the Total War series. But the only games that are well known and or remembered are the Dawn of War series. And we don't talk about Dawn of War 3. There are interesting games like the Mechanicus game, which was good for a 40K game. And there is a Chromehounds was a great game. I love Chromehounds. Chromehounds, that's also fucking FromSoft. Chromehounds was made by FromSoft. Because FromSoft is an OG mech game maker. The only breakthrough game for 40K, the only breakthrough game that was popular enough for people to pay attention was Space Marine 2. It's the only one that has managed to break through. Space Marine 1 was a disappointment. Dawn of War was good, but you had to enjoy RTS games. There was a decent breakthrough with Darktide, but Darktide sort of died because they sort of mishandled it. Large fish, fat fish, obese fish was kind of fucked that up. Well, how do you like that? I actually like one FromSoft game. Yeah. Rogue Trader is good, but like Rogue Trader is like if you it didn't do the breakthrough like Baldur's Gate 3 did. It's like Baldur's Gate 3, but it wasn't quite as much of a breakthrough. Oh man, I thought Darktide rocked and it got me into Warhammer. I'm glad, Hyperblaster. It was a good game. What I mean is it lacked the staying power that other games have done. Because I played the shit out of Darktide. I fucking loved it. And then it just sort of died because it never really adapted. And it's getting back there. It's becoming better. The only thing about the recent MechWarrior games is that they're punishingly hard. My friends quit after playing like one play session. Yeah. The only reason why Space Marine 1 was good, or was successful, was because 40K fans lack standards. We were so desperate for a decent breakout hit that we continued to play for Space Marine well after it was designed to be played, which is the reason why Space Marine 2 got greenlit. Can I ask a Star Citizen question? No. We're talking not Star Citizen, the Star Citizen. Go ahead. How do you think the death of the spaceman is going to change? It seems like a lot of people, with a lot of so much FPS gameplay, people are dying way more often than the concept allowed for. No, it's not going to change that much. The thing about the death of a spaceman, and I still have to do this video about you're wrong about death of a spaceman, is it is easily tweakable. Trauma echoes and imprint viability score can be as much or as little as you want. Yeah, we watched the video and talked about the Space AC-130. I said this is going to be a shorter one, and I'm like, we're kind of like running out of topics, and it's already 2 hours in, so we'll probably end in about 30 to 40 minutes. There's two things we need to make sure. I still play and have 750 hours on Steam. Hyperblaster. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm saying, and I'm glad you welcome to the community. I'm glad that it got you. The Dawn of War games got me. So like I get it, but I also recognize that if you said 40K video game, most people would just default to Space Marine 2 now. People would forget that Darktide exists. So, understandable. CIG is doing a yearly drought early, kind of. So, because we've got Invictus in 2 weeks, so they'll have a bunch of information on Invictus. So here's the thing. There's two factors when it comes to Death of a Spaceman. You are not going to die as easily as you think. You are going to be downed a lot, but you will not die. I imagine there will be a state that CIG will add where you're dead, but you can still be revived even if you're dead. And no amounts of double tapping will kill someone permanently. So you'll have people who will be lying on the ground who will have to wait an hour or 15 minutes or 20 minutes to get revived, but they're still alive, or they can regen. And the IVS score is going to be the thing that allows them to tweak how badly that is going to be. And I think the answer is going to be, if you want to play this game like Call of Duty, you can, but you're going to have the consequences of playing that way. If CIG wants to have a high action, heavy PvP type game with all of the highlights on YouTube and whatnot, it's impossible to get away from the arcade shooter aspect completely. Of course, it's going to be impossible to do that, but CIG is going to try to balance it in a way where they want to have consequences. Now, that being said, CIG has been signaling that they want to remove a lot of those consequences because it doesn't make sense for the game they want to make. However, one does not spend a fuck ton of time trying to come up with how to tell a story in a game if you're just going to do a PvP game. Tarkov doesn't have a story because it doesn't need one. Call of Duty has a campaign, but most people play the multiplayer. You don't need a multiplayer. You don't need a story for Warzone. You just need the action. So I doubt that CIG's intent is to go pure action Call of Duty, because their actions and their investment in missions and gameplay and storytelling thus far proves that that's not the direction they want to go for. But Zombies is not a PvP game. It's a PvE game. How much can you revive after I use my Browning M2 to put a big hole in your beam in them? Citizen Dance. Beams. Beams. They're wonderful. They're magical. They fix you up. What are the blades for? What do they do? If they're AI blades, they're designed to basically turn your turrets into auto tracking turrets. So you can't really tell them to fight or at anything. They kind of turn them into versions of the point defense turrets. Person beam repair. We already have person beam repair. It'll just be the like, you'll magically seal up your wounds like Star Trek. You need to remake the beans meme into beams and add a sound. Beams. And Hyper Blaster, you're right. There's got to be a reason to not wear heavy armor. That is what they talked about at CitizenCon, that they want to create classes. So you have classes based off of the armor you use, and the armor will specialize you into certain things to give you some advantages or disadvantages. They just didn't have those armors done, so they just kind of showed off with what they had. All hail the tractor bean. Have you had any speculation what the redacted thing is in the PTU? Not ready for testing section of the patch notes? Not a clue. Probably the story. Like, we know that they're working on new mission givers. Like 2 new mission givers, I believe, that are not Wicklow. I think one of them is Gilly. But Gilly's like animation hasn't been added yet. I guess I'm that guy. What do you mean you're that guy? I know mobility is worse, but it isn't kind of boring. Every PvP fight is just a mag dumping each other. It is, because Star Citizen's gunplay sucks. But the reason why Star Citizen's gunplay sucks is because they haven't bothered fixing it. Like, the honest to God answer is everyone runs around with an FS9. It's FS9, right? Or F55. One of the two. I think it's FS9. Oh, from the class introduction Citizen Gun? Yes. Yes. That was the joke. That guy was a joke. They've talked about the pilot, the driver, the combat. I'm sure there'll be things like the medic, the engineer, the leader. And a lot of those things, like the leader, is going to probably require like coordination. Like their job is to take in information and then distribute information appropriately, that kind of thing. We don't have any differentiation for weapons. There's no reason not to just get the fastest firing, most damaging weapon and then just mag dump it into people, because it works. And the answer is, even if that's not the most effective thing, it has become seen as the most effective thing, and there's no reason to experiment. Like everyone wants the Mazarov pyro set because it is seen as the most effective armor to wear in game, and there's no reason to not use it. It has no lights. You don't need lights. That's what I think. It's a good thing. I don't know. There's also a lot to be said about level design. Most Star Citizen maps don't reward other styles of engaging like sniping. In some places, but that's because like combat zones or conflict zones. What are they called? Contested zones. Contested zones aren't CZs. I know them as CZs. That's why I keep forgetting what the fuck they're called. And I've been playing and immersing in too much cyberpunk, so combat zones is in my brain. But contested zones are designed as close range combat. There's not a lot of differentiation in those designs because it's not designed for it's designed for small to medium range, not really sniping. It's boring, but the beta is free if you want to try it. What are you talking about, Sparky? That AO3 has become my standard gun with the UV tech ×4. No, new tech. That gun just swacks. Because there's not a lot of partial cover in Star Citizen. You can't hide in a bush like you can in all games like Tarkov. They just need to create places like conflict zones or contested zones on larger maps that are more open, which they just haven't yet. Forgot I was 15 minutes behind. We're talking about Steel Hunters. Oh, okay. So you think they're going to do a free fly with Invictus? Yes. Of course they are. They've already said it's going to be a free fly from May 15th to, was it 28th or something? Grin, thank you so much. I didn't see you were talking earlier. Any word on types of choices we're going to get with the new flight blades? So, are they called flight blades? I'm in the dark about this because it's multiple people have brought this up over the last couple of days about blades. What is the story of blades? What are we talking about with blades? Thank you so much for that raid. Welcome everyone from Loken Stream. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shell, your humble host and space bartender here. At the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? Flight blades, I think they're literally just for flight. Players only has one. I don't know what those are, but I know that the blades have often been discussed and used for like sensors and such. So blades may just be CIG's stand-in for component, like a component style. Because there's the AI blades that you can put in for to automate your turrets. There's blades that come in terms of your sensors. And the idea of the blade is that it's like a server blade. It's where the reference comes from. So it's just like a computer that you stick into it. So I think it's just a shorthand for CIG for like computer system. They're found in the 4.11 files. I have no doubt that they're adding some of those because they've been working on sensors for fucking ever, and the new sensor system is coming up soon. What are we up to there, Loken? Also, you cool with Star Citizen on Friday? Sweet. At some point, we're gonna have to go back to do Mech Warrior plans to finish that one up, because we never finished that because the new fucking DLC's coming out. And I was doing some Star Citizen, and believe it or not, architecture works. And I believe it or not, architecture works. Nice. Yes, we do. That was the big one. That's the big one we need to finish. And in Hot Mech Summer, we got to do some stuff for Hot Mech Summer again. The one problem I see with the TAC is adding guns and adding turrets and adding another shield generator, but still one power generator. Will be impossible to run full pips on shields and guns. That's the idea. There's going to be some elements you're going to have to sacrifice, like life support, or some of the guns, like the pilot-controlled guns may have to get sacrificed or something like that. Interestingly, all the ships shown in ILW save the date are flight-ready ships or ships about to launch. And your perspective on the bridge of the Idris in that video, maybe it means the Idris is launching? I don't think so. That's also, I don't think that's the perspective of the Idris. I think that's the perspective of Polaris. Citadel load running ballistic weapons. Oh, and that's going to be the trade-off, because if you run ballistic weapons, you'll run out of ammo pretty quickly. So you can't do the one thing that the Starlancer is really good at, which is long range. Long range, consistent engagements. Basically, getting a bunch of people on board a ship and just fucking off to the middle of nowhere, and you're fine because you don't need anything else. You've got your health, you've got your cargo, you've got your transport stuff, you've got your guns, you got your distance. You're good. No, that wasn't interesting in the video, was it? We're not gonna get the ironclad, y'all. Y'all have been coping hard on that ironclad thing. It's not coming out. They would have been a lot more hinting at it coming out if it was coming out. We would have seen a lot more indications. I'll find it. It's on the main site, right? Why was Drake on the defense poster? Do you want the in-lore reason or the real reason? Oh yeah, it is the Idris. I'm looking at it now because it's on the main page. Oh, you're right, that is the Idris. I thought it was the Polaris. But yeah, that's definitely the Idris in terms of its main screen and such. I think people are reading too much into that. I think it's just because there's an Idris tour. You can't blame us for coping. We wanted the BMM, they gave us Wicklow. Honestly, the reason I would much prefer Wicklow over the Banu Merchantman. I would prefer a Tavaran in game before getting another Tavaran ship. You want the lore reason as to why they're doing why they did Drake? So the lore reason why is because Drake has always been part of the UE Navy, but the Navy has always been embarrassed to admit it has. Because it's not frontline combat, but it is still valuable. Because they have a fleet of vultures and they have a fleet of Cutlass Reds. Now, why do they have a fleet of Cutlass Reds? Because Cutlass Reds are the standard hospital that most, they're standard ambulance that most hospitals use because it's cheap and effective. So they had a fleet of Cutlass Reds so that if a soldier or starman gets hurt, they can then take them on a base. They can then evacuate them to a non-combat situation. They can evacuate them to a hospital using a non-military ship. They don't need a fucking Apollo to go rescue somebody when you just can buy a cheap Red. So they have a whole fleet of Reds that work as sort of ambulances, non-combat ambulances. And vultures are designed specifically to clean up battlefields after they've happened, but not during combat situations. And the argument has always been that why Drake should have been included in Invictus, because there are other manufacturers like MISC, which are included in Invictus celebrations, even though they don't have combat ships in the military. Origin is in the fucking Invictus celebrations, and the most they do in terms of combat is they build the engines for the fucking Idris. It's why the U.S. Air Force has Tacomas, yeah. But also the Admiralty says, fuck Drake. Exactly. So because they don't like to admit that Drake is actually part of the Navy, and Drake revels or has reveled in the past in their bad boy status, they've been excluded from Invictus, which is why they did DefenseCon. My theory is that Andon Arden, who's a bastard, is also a smart bastard, and he's done everything in his power to sort of remove the bad boy image of Drake and make them more feel like the everyman ship, which is why they've been constantly punching into MISC repeatedly over the last 5 years. So what they likely did, because the story behind Drake sponsoring IAE was the sponsor of an IAE. So whichever company is sponsoring an IAE gets to set the theme. And the last time Drake sponsored IAE, they wanted the theme to be, fuck the UEE. Fuck the government. The government is trying to kill you. Buy our ships to defend yourself against the government. And the IAE, committee was like, all right, let's calm down a little bit. Let's not go that intense. And so my guess is Andon Arden was being very successful in his rebrand of Drake as being, fuck the government, we will save you. And basically told the Navy, let us into Invictus and we'll shut up about the anti-government shit. And so the Navy was like, fine. Here you go. Shut up. As a result, that is the in-lore reason why they would be invited to Invictus. Do you want to know the real reason why, though? Drake's IAE theme. Set up an alternate power and logistical structure, UEE. Hey, we may run programs to discourage that sort of thing. I thought that the TAC was getting size 5 cannons for the turret. The video shows 2 different weapon systems interchangeable. Yeah, it's not a bespoke system. You can put in whatever you want in the size 5, but it's size 5s on the manned turrets on the side. So 2 twin size 5s that you can swap them out if you need to. Perhaps the UE should not have promoted Kendrick Lamar to Admiral. That's a deep cut. The real reason why is it's clear that last IAE, they couldn't get two floors running at the same time. Something went absolutely fucking tits up wrong, and they didn't know how to fix it. So instead of fixing it, they're just going, well, one floor worked, and they just said it's too expensive for us to even just try to comprehend where to put the Drake defense con would be, because that requires it's an own sort of system. So they just said, fuck it, we're just gonna do one. And they just did one, and that's why we have one floor for 2 days and then another floor for 2 days, instead of doing the little like leap hop that they used to do. Now it's just, Grey Cat and Aegis for 2 days, and then, was it Anvil for 2 days, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's basically around make the game run better. Do you think there's any significance to the fact that they have an F7A, F8A on the Invictus Hall this year? No, they did it. They've done it every year. They've done it since before the F8C was released. Fuck the UEE, gently. That's the point. It's basically a compromise to make sure that the game doesn't implode on itself, which is fine. It has a nice paint. It does. So someone was asking about the regen crisis. So what we know about the regen crisis is, first of all, I've got to do an entire video on this. I'm going to do it for June is when that video is going to come out. But I'm going to kind of rehash what regen is, where it comes from, what an Ibrahim sphere is, what regen serum is, all that kind of stuff. Do a full lore breakdown of that, and then explain what's been going on. And the simplest answer for the regen crisis is what they thought was an immortality device is actually not. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if our understanding of IVS scores and trauma echoes are, in the fictional universe as of right now, theoretical. Basically, they understood that these things existed and they may have problems, but they entirely did not understand that it was not a consistent thing. Basically, they thought everyone had the same IVS score, and that a trauma echo in you would affect me the same way. So they just assumed standard patterns. And what the regen crisis is discovering is that it is in fact not standard, and that there are wildly different results depending on person to person, and they don't fully understand why. For whatever reason, players have some sort of thing that makes them better for regen. But it doesn't mean that we're the only ones who have that better serum. Paul in here casually coming up with a lore explanation for why Drake doesn't get its own convention now. Humans are space orcs. We are. I mean, it's not really it's not a stretch. If you follow what Drake has been doing over the last, since Andon Arden took over, it's all about making Drake more family friendly, while also leaning heavily into populism. And it's working. So it's not surprising that the UEE is throwing them a bone to shut them the fuck up. Star Citizen players are to regen crisis what Cyberpunk players are to cyber psychos. That's a good way of putting it. Basically, not everyone is fit for the system. And if the answer is, well, why? The question is why? It's like, because we don't understand how it fucking works. All we know is that it works. We don't know why it works. We have a vague understanding of the mechanics behind it, but we actually don't know what the fuck it does in fiction, because we stole the fucking technology from the Vanduul. And we don't even think the Vandul were the ones who built the technology in the first place. So it comes from some other civilization, which we don't know and have never met, and somehow works. We got the tech, yeah. That sounds like every other time in human history where humans figure out that nature and science lock down and end up being 100% off target, basically. We've been using the Regen tech for less than 6 years. The first successful test of it was in 2949, and the first actual release of the tech was in 2950. So it's only been publicly available for 5 years. And of course, in our Imperator, in all her fucking wisdom, who is super tech savvy, once she got elected, was immediately like, we're going to make the plans for building all of this stuff public. So anyone can build a regen, an Ibrahim sphere and a regen, regen. I don't think you can build regen gel, which is the thing that actually lets you, or goo, which actually lets you like regen a body. But the thing that captures your soul, the brain imprint, is the Ibrahim sphere, and the Ibrahim spheres are public knowledge. They're basically, if you have the technology, you can build one. If you have the resources. Is most of the lore in the jump points? A lot of the lore is in jump points. But the regen lore was released when they came up with the idea. There was an extensive amount of stuff about who Aka Ibrahim was, and who they're like Dr. Aka Ibrahim and their story and where they came from, and you know what regen gel is, and it's made by Batacorp. What am I gonna say? Oh, what trauma echoes are, and what imprint viability score is, and all that kind of stuff. It's open source, yeah. Silky Z just casually dropping Full Metal Alchemist references. But I mean, that's a good reference. I think that's a good way of putting the of describing the regen crisis, is that it's a Full Metal Alchemist reference. You don't bring back the dead without consequences. And again, I have consistently said the actual like story behind regen is terrifying. Yes, death doesn't hurt as much, meaning like you can come back from death, which is amazing. But when you experience death and die and feel all of the pain of death, and then are brought back to life with all of those experiences intact, I don't know if humanity was built to handle that. When will any of the lore apply to how any of the game plays? When can I run into a very mean Vandal squadron by mistake and have them swear at me in Klingon and Vandalese and blow them up? 1.0 would be the best. Though CIG is slowly adding some of that to the game with their story elements. You got to remember that the lore in general up to this point has been background information, sort of setting the stage for what's going to happen. And only this year have we started to get story elements being added to the game. But it's only because it's in support of gameplay being added. Ooh, damn, this is how we introduce horror into Star Citizen? Regen tech turning into people into creatures? That's the easy answer. Hell yeah. Like, I can imagine some absolute horror fucking shows with Regen. Like Diminishing Returns? Not really a copy of a copy. It's more like trauma is a complicated thing. Psychological trauma is something that can happen and it can damage you. Even if you don't experience physical trauma, psychological trauma will break you. PTSD is a thing, and PTSD doesn't require you to be like shot at to get. You know, there's plenty of people I know in my own personal life who have PTSD and were never in combat or in a life-threatening situation. They just were in an awful situation in their life, earlier in their lives, that just sort of built up over time. Mickey 17, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah. So what regen is your brain is constantly being traumatized over and over and over again. And what does that do to a person over the course of a lifetime? It fucks somebody up. And what trauma echoes are is your brain rejecting the idea that you're alive. Like, you lose an arm and your brain, the wiring in your brain is so crossed from all of these regens that it cannot accept the fact that your arm is back to where it was. Your brain rejects your body. And so you have to get your arm replaced with a cybernetic because that's the only thing your brain won't understand. Oh, like in the Marathon short movie they made. Yeah, that's a good, Marathon is a great example of that one. Stuff. So eventually your brain is so traumatized, you're basically a vegetable and you can't come back. Eventually you just traumatize yourself to not being able to be coming back to life. Brutal shit, that's hardcore. That's what regen tech is. That's really literally what regen tech is. Eventually you give yourself PTSD to death, where you just cannot come back. Did you know that USSR tested with bullets fired in space? It worked well, but the kick pushed the probe off course. Yeah, no, the bullets are fully capable of being fired because they have their own internal combustion. Like they have all the things they need in the cartridge. It's just a matter of like managing the fact that space is insanely cold. You got to wonder, is that really you or just a copy of you after you died that just has your memories? That's the other psychological and philosophical questions. I'm sure that cap of how many deaths one person can have is different. And then there would be people who are immune to the effect of respawn generated PTSD. That is the point of the regen crisis. Some people literally cannot, their brains cannot handle death. So they just can't be brought back. Their IVS scores are fucked. Others are much better at it. And so for the gameplay purposes, all the players are going to have the same, and there's going to be some sort of algorithm they come up with your IVS score going down or up based off of how you died and when you died and all that kind of stuff. That game Soma had an interesting way to deal with that. Yeah. I always have an issue with that idea as if you've lost your arm, like what? A few hours ago, you had your arm your whole life. I can see it as a narrative way of describing the horror, because it's not like you had your arm your whole life. How many times have you lost your arm in death? Your brain just breaks. Because your brain is funky and will do weird things to your body. Isn't your soul transferred to a body, so you don't really die in a spiritual sense? It's not really a soul as much as it is your memories and your personality. It is who you are at the moment of death. But you're in a brand new body. It's like your consciousness. Essentially your soul. My favorite 40 quote, I haven't lost my arm, brother. Kind of Ghost in the Shell, like Altered Carbon, Ghost in the Shell, Mickey 17. Mickey 17 is actually a perfect representation of what that is like. Because if you I think it's Mickey 7 is the book, is the short story it's based off of. But in the movie, each Mickey is a different personality. Because Mickey's brain is copied frequently. So when they die and they come back, they have all the memories and experiences of the other Mickeys. But when they come back, they slightly change. Their experience and their like kind of rejuvenation is changed for who they are. So that means I can bring and eat and kill myself, fat and ugly, pop back in a 6-pack, perfectly body. No, because your brain will reject that idea. If your brain does not match the body that it returns to, you will not be able to take. Your body has to be a near perfect representation of your body that you left behind. Otherwise, your consciousness rejects it. It's kind of like how you have your body will sometimes reject organs that have been transplanted. It's like kind of like that. So you come back exactly as you are. You don't come back as a younger version of yourself. You come back as exactly as you were. You don't get younger. You age this along with your regular body. It's very cyberpunk coded. Star Citizen has fucking cyberpunk all over it. That brings up some really interesting questions about people with body dysphoria. Yeah, the fucked up thing is that there's also Project Calliope. So Project Calliope allows you to completely change who you are at any time. Like, perfectly. Which is the character creator in Star Citizen. But in fiction, it is an actual thing that's an outpatient process that allows for people to completely modify their looks at the drop of a hat. It was designed originally for the military to help soldiers who had like scars or were super wounded and like had fucked up disfigurements from combat to be able to basically completely transform them overnight in a process that was less expensive than expensive plastic surgery. Like if I died before I started transition, it would res me back into male or female body. It would res you back to whatever your imprinted body was, what your body was. So what you last body was, the imprinted was, and where you were connected. So eventually you will always die of old age? Yes. It just basically means that people will be more immune to death by accident. How I see myself or others see me? That's a good question. Based off of what they've discussed, it's more than likely how your brain interprets yourself. Because the connection that you make is connected to you through interspace. So you always have a quantum entanglement connection. Your brain is constantly updating the imprint. That's what the technology that's just like, well, how does it work? I don't fucking know. We don't fucking know. The UE doesn't know. It just does. The real question is, will Star Citizen last long enough as a game for players to die of old age? Well, time is accelerated, so maybe. Because as far as I understand, the system isn't based off of what your biological person is. Biology has very little to do with regen, other than the body that needs to be there. But it's mostly that the body has to be a copy of what your brain remembers your body being. Otherwise, it will reject the body. So basically, we found this tech, revered Frankenstein it, and now it's screwing up. Or yeah, basically, yeah. Reverse Frankenstein it. Yeah, we 100% fucked it up. Paul, I'm coping so hard right now. Idris at ILW, it's okay. I'm being mega delusional this week. I don't think it's coming, yo. I wish it does, because here's the thing. I want an Idris to release, because if Idris released at ILW, CIG would implode. Like, the amount of people who would be getting into the game to play it for the first time would be massive. There would be people like going absolutely apeshit about it. I don't think it's coming at ILW, but I do think it's coming soon. They need to just eat it. I think I'd be okay with them holding it until engineering's out, but I agree. They just kind of have to let it go out. Soon TM or soon? Like, not CIG soon, not soon TM, not CIG soon, but like soon. For those of you who don't know my soon terminology, soon TM is the joke that like it's never fucking coming. CIG may occasionally mention it or something like that, but that's like the Banu Merchantman is in soon TM. Then there's CIG soon, which is like engineering and base building and crafting, where they're actively working on it and they're talking about it, but it's a ways away. It's not like gonna come out in the next 3 months or so. It's, 2 or 3 patches down the line, maybe a year down the line. And then there's like soon, where it's like this is coming out in the next patch or within the next patch or 2. So I think the Idris is soon. But if a copy is created and the original still exists, the new one isn't you. The original one can't exist. That's the thing about Regen. They've tried it. They tried to regen somebody who was still alive, and it never worked. Again, why? We fucking don't know. They're still testing it to figure out what it's doing. But again, this is experimental technology that the Imperator was just like, everyone gets it for free. Let's open source this bitch. It's like, oh yeah, that's a fucking great idea. I also think engineering is soon. I think engineering is at the earliest July, but more than likely August or September. That's a cool, but a dear God, what have we done idea. Exactly. Which is Star Citizen to a T. Like, just, that is what the developers have, or what the writers have done in terms of the story for Star Citizen. I think Regen is a perfect encapsulation of it. This wonderful new technology, which could basically conquer death, that has been open sourced to everyone, that has this potential to revolutionize what it means to be a human. But we also have no fucking idea how it works, and we're playing with forces we don't understand. And it's gonna blow up in our face and probably kill a ton of people, if not everyone. That is that is Star Citizen's story to a T. There is hope. There could be a better future. There could be a better way. But everything is conspiring to kill you. Sounds like defense research. To be fair, it being free probably saved more people than it hurt. Yes, but it's also probably also getting a lot of people, putting a lot of people into, it's making people more reliant on it. People became more blasé about it. Basically like doing dangerous things because they know they were going to get regened. So people were doing more stupid things because of the ability to regen. So they were actively getting themselves killed because they knew they could come back. Which people wouldn't have done otherwise if they weren't given the promise of that TAC. Hope with a dash of fuck you, yeah? Oh, it is expensive as fuck. That's the thing. It's like the reason why regen is free right now is because it's in testing. But yeah, no, it's expensive as fuck. And what I mean by free is I mean the technology to build your own Ibrahim sphere is free. So like you have the blueprints for an Ibrahim sphere, you know how to make it. But it's also a capitalist dystopia. So welcome to the American healthcare system. You can't escape the cyberpunk reality of it. I miss her because I'm also cooking. That's all right. Like, join the Frontier Fighters, yeah. It says in text people paid a lot of money for regen. Yes, they did. What I mean by free is like the technology is free. It's stupidly expensive to do though. But then you also have companies like Hurston. Hurston pays for all of its employees to have free regen. They have complimentary regen to work for Hurston Dynamics. It's expensive as fuck, but Hurston gives it to their employees for free. That should give you a context of how how complicated Hurston is. It's like, they give it to you for free, but you're already a slave, so it's more about making sure their property isn't damaged. Bet it's cheaper than paying out for a worker's death. Death is not an escape. Hurston employees. Slave labor isn't cheap to replace. Like paying for a good vet for your livestock, yeah. How long are Hurston Dynamics indentured contracts? They're forever. They're lifetime. Hurston Dynamics contracts are lifetime contracts. And while not every Hurston employee is a lifetime contract, I guarantee you that if you're working in upper management at Hurston, it's very difficult to leave. Hurston doesn't like it when their tools break. It's not complicated. Yeah, but also it's really expensive for them to do this. And I know someone says Walmart takes in a life insurance policy on its employees with them as the benefactors. But you know how much it costs for a life insurance? Like, especially for like young employees, like if you're young, it's fucking inexpensive. It only becomes expensive when you're older. And even then, it's not that expensive. This is more like taking out a health insurance policy, a maximum premium health insurance policy on every one of your employees. That shit's gotta be fucking expensive. Does regen work on livestock? It works on other species, so it should work on livestock. Because it works on Tavaran. We have a story of a Tavaran having regen capability, so we know that Tavaran can do it. Which means that in theory, any alien species could probably do it. It comes from the fucking the Vandul. I mean, Paul, how does regen deal with the issue of aging? I mean, you don't have to time out and die at about 100 years after either way of the age. Don't you time out and die? You will, but not at 100. There are people who can live up to 150 years in the Star Citizen universe. Humans can live very long time with the right technology. I can imagine a cow being slaughtered for food over and over again. Well, I don't imagine it makes sense for you to slaughter a cow for food over and over again, because it probably does cost more money to regen a cow than the meat you get from it. It's probably more like you can maybe regen livestock as a means of, like with a cow would be more like infinite milk. But the cow's eventually going to die of old age. Age still kills you. So it's more of a life insurance policy or like a good health insurance policy. Yeah, they're not immortal. I thought it was like 200 years. There's not a lot of hard data on that, but it has been mentioned. The hard mention is about 150. So I've been using 150 as the solid date. I was wrong. I thought that that Admiral thought it was mentioned at some point that Admiral Bishop was like 100, but he's actually 60. What if I'm Delulu and believe I'm 20 years old? If you have the body of a 20-year-old, sure. It's not that you believe, it's that your brain believes. You are not the same person as your brain. Yeah, he's only 60. Bishop looks 85. Well, I mean, fighting the Vanduul will do that to you. Let me look up the Bishop's age. We actually have information on Bishop's age. That's why. Ernst Bishop. Holding the line ages you. We all know that. He was born in 2880. So it's 2945. So he's 70. He's 75 when Squadron 42 takes place. 65? Did I miscalculate that? Because 80 to 90 is 10, 90 to 100 is 20, and then 40. Yeah, it's 65. You're right, 65. Still though, math is hard. Trying to do it in my head without a calculator, yeah. Still looks like he's 40 though. Everyone was saying he looked like he's 80. Do you think the government can cancel out your regen without you knowing? So that's once you die, that's it. Possibly. It's just a matter of erasing your regen. Now the thing is that if you've done multiple regens, one of the weird factors of regen is that imprints can last beyond their initial imprint. So if you imprint at a device in Stanton and then go to Pyro and imprint at Pyro, but the imprint device at Pyro blows up, you will default back to your last imprint, even if that imprint. Oh, thank you so much for that raid, Christiana. How you doing? Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul, Berserker 1 Batman Shell, your humble host and space bartender here. TheAstroPub, your spacebar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We're gonna be for you. How y'all doing? How you doing, Christy? What were you up to? StarCitizen? Why can't there be multiple copies of myself? We don't know. The technology just doesn't allow it to happen for whatever reason. We're talking about the Regen crisis, and I have to explain a lot about Regen because Regen is mostly unknown outside of people who are hardcore lore nerds like myself. I suspect it's a one soul thing. I mean, there's a gameplay explanation for it, which is they don't want you to be able to like have multiple copies of yourself. Bounty hunting, then trying to figure out CZs. I know a lot of people don't like Regen. I personally like Regen because it opens up an infinite possibilities of fucked up storytelling. So like, I can imagine someone managing to, for whatever reason, break the system and be able to make infinite copies of themselves. So you have a mission where you just have to go kill infinite copies of the same person. Like a better version of the Gary vault in Fallout 3. Kind of like the episode in X-Files where the dude makes like multiple clones of himself. Where there's like 5 or 6 clones of the same guy. But they're all like scientists and stuff like that. Can you regen your pizza? Yeah, but it's more expensive to regen your pizza than it would be to actually get a new pizza. Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty. Interestingly, if the tech works partially off of quantum entanglement and other quantum processes, the no cloning theorem of quantum mechanics would also explain why the UE can't use it to make our clone armies. But that's probably unintentional on CIG's part. No, it's actually directly intentional on CIG's part. They literally reference quantum entanglement as what it's similar to, what Regen is similar to. It is directly referenced as quantum entanglement. It's not the same thing as quantum entanglement, but it's similar enough to it, is what they say. Chris Roberts isn't above wanting to give some people special abilities in his fictions. Nothing as extreme as the Force, but there are world pilgrims in the Wing Commander movie. I don't doubt it. Like I could see CIG coming up with an entire like mutation ability for NPCs, not for players, but for NPCs, where you'd have to diversify the NPC base, either in terms of characters for storytelling or combatants or allies that will give you a different bonus for what's going on or a different enemy you have to fight against. Like a great example of this is the Banu. For those of you who don't know, the Banu have an incredible sense of smell, which is a great way of explaining why a Banu guard can figure out where you are if you're hiding from them, because they could literally sniff you out. We don't know a lot about Tavaran physiology, but I imagine the Tavaran are going to be very similar. While CIG will never do this, I personally would love for the character customization to be as crazy as possible, because this is purely from a soulless capitalist perspective. People with being able to create a character with cat ears would make you so much fucking money. Why? What's my evidence? Every single game with cat boys and girls and furries added to it. The people throw money at that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put furry shit into a game, people will like throw truckloads of money at it. Yeah, splicing, like being able to like give yourself different animal features as part of your character. I keep saying it, but the tech level of UE would 100% be used by furries. That's one of those weird things that, like, in most fiction, science fiction, written in the last 30 years, people will do crazy shit with technology, like replace their arms with fucking piston engines and replace their heart with a V12 motor and shit like that. But, like, rarely do you see them just turning themselves into dogs. That's just not a thing in fiction. And I'm like, why? Knowing how modern, like, people are, like, one of the first things that people would do is turn themselves into, like, beautiful people. Followed shortly after by animal features. Like, haven't furries been a thing for millennia? Yeah, but they haven't really been an open and, like, detailed part of culture until recently. Which is, you know, because they control the internet. They control Al Gore's internet, and you can't stop them. No cats, people. Cyberwolf. Cyberwolf. Yeah, Cyberwolf. Come here. The Raffi. Kill Raffi. My point being, like, it's not like Chris Roberts hasn't done shit like this shit before. The fun fact, the water cooling packs for people that the US military uses was invented by an Australian furry for his suit. We have talked about this many times on this channel. We do not touch the furry community because they control the internet and they will kill us all. And I would rather be on the good side of that community than on the bad side of that community, because they have lots of money. And what's the old saying? They have enough if they have enough money to buy a fursuit, they have enough money to build a fucking pipe bomb and put it in my mailbox. And they control the internet. Tech furries would have money for mods in the UE, yeah. All I'm saying is that CIG would print money if they added that into the character creator. Yeah, that too. Like elf style ears. From the tiny to the long. People still love the Star Kitten helmet. Hey, Paul, would you eat a hat if they released an Idris at IEE? No, I wouldn't. I'm not against, or Invictus. I'm not against the idea, and I'd love for them to do it. I just don't think they're going to do it because they don't have a release date mentioned for it. And I think CIG might be a little hesitant to release it because engineering isn't out yet, but I do think it's soon. So you're saying the furries are like the AdMech of our Empire of Man? I could see that. The P at least goes a long way to fix the problem as it lacks the railgun. Yeah. Yeah, if CIG wants to print money and print advertisements, if they want free advertisements for the next month, then the P is easy. It's in the game. They have it in the files. They're going to show it off at Invictus, saying, congratulations, everyone who has an Idris P now has it in your hangar. Go enjoy it. People would absolutely lose their shit. But we haven't seen them test it. They haven't had players test it like they had the Polaris. If CIG wants to print money, they'd release a Titan suit. I agree, but I also think that CIG probably wants to keep the Titan suits a little bit more under wraps because it's not been in-game yet. Unlike the Idris, which has been a thing that they sold, you know. They did test it. Xenothreat and other events. Not the same thing, though. Not the same way they tested the Polaris, where they let players play on them and figured out what the bugs were and that kind of stuff. Narratively, did it make, or would it make more sense to have a furry alien beast since they already have the people in the setting? Possibly, but I also think it's a lot easier for CIG just to add, like, you know, animal features to the character creator than it would be for them to do a brand new race with brand new rigs and stuff like that. And so CIG takes the path of least resistance, and they can just narratively make it, you know, hey, we've had, because that's the thing, it's like the universe of Star Citizen has had incredible body modification technology for a long time. Like, centuries. So you gotta also remember that, like, right now, the Star Citizen universe we have right now isn't the universe we're going to have when the game releases. One of the things that's clear is that the pirates, like specifically the shipjackers, are supposed to be heavily, and I mean heavily, cyberized, like full dive cyborgs in some cases. So we're supposed to see a lot more like people just walking around with cybernetic limbs, cybernetic bodies. It's supposed to be super common in the universe. So the only reason we don't have that now is because it's not available for the players yet. And once it's available for the players, it'll probably be built for NPCs, so we'll see people walking around with all sorts of different augmentations to their body. Yep, my friend hasn't played probably in a year, told me that if the Idris game, he would log on for days. Yeah, see? I'm bothered that the Fury, in plural, often made a joke. The best fighter in the game. I'm sorry if you don't know the peak combat physique. Who is this? Oh. Mama. Forgot her name. Riccolo? Riccolo? Starts with an R. Similar to Wiccolo. Recco Battalion was her name. She's Nyx. So she'll be, she's Michigan run for Nyx. Yeah, Star Citizen is definitely weeb. So play Wing Commander 1. Play Wing Commander 1 and tell me that Chris Roberts isn't a fucking weeb. I would do nasty things if CIG said that the mech that's in Wiccolo's shop is available for unlock. You don't realize what I would do to get that thing. Like, there would be, you want to see Pirate Paul? That's Pirate Paul. Like, I would become a murder hobo so fast. Once I got it, it'd be nice again. But, like, no. What would you do for that suit, Paul? win. Yeah. See our on feet in case coming. No, I mean in game, obviously. What if they release the Virgil LTD Titan suit from the concept art during ILW? Fucking, I'd love it, but it's not gonna happen. Paul, please, Paul, you would be no more desperate and depraved than I. Well, I know. The second we would have the access to it, you and I would be like, "Oh, we're doing a league expedition. Cool. We're bringing the combat Titan suit, the combat ATLS." It's like we're just going to pick up boxes. You never know what's going to happen. We're just going to prepare for Titanfall, bitch. We're dropping. They're not going to do the Virgil suit until we know more information about it. Once we start seeing it in the files again, and we start hearing them tease it, it'll happen. Possibly. I don't think we'll get Titan suits from all the manufacturers. I do think we'll get Titan suits from specific manufacturers, though. Like Anvil, I could see doing one. I could see, we already have one from Argo. I could see Drake doing one, because they have ground vehicles. All of the ground vehicles. I would expect to see a Grey Cat one. I would expect citizen stuff. Welcome, everybody. We're talking about the combat mech. We're talking about the potential release of a combat mech in Star Citizen. I don't think it's happening anytime soon, but I would love to. Maybe Crusader and Origin. The other armor manufacturers would make them, like Castec Arms. Fuck yes. Castec Arms would make a Titan suit. Mwah. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Castec Arms would make one. I could see Clark Defense Systems making one. You're doing some Assassin's Creed Shadows. Neat. Yeah, I would actually say Castec is more likely to make one before Drake. Because Castec is the Drake of infantry weapons. Yeah, RSI would definitely make one. Alien power armor? Yeah, I mean, CIG calls them mechs. I know, like, though technically they're not mechs. It's a mech. I'm a mech absolutist. If it's a powered exosuit with armor, it's a mech. Fleet Week with a mech dropship that could deploy an army of combat mechs would be epic. Mjolnir is a mech, yes. So is the Fallout 4 armor, power armor. The Titan suits have a unique thing because Titan suits themselves are a lot more mech-like. Because unlike power armor, where you sort of get into a power armor and then you are the like muscular structure for the power armor and it just sort of enhances your power armor yourself, with like the Titan suits you literally step in and then raise up into the body of the armor, and then you control the arms with like little gyros in your hands, so you're sort of controlling it, but your legs are also controlling the legs. You're sort of moving the legs like you would, you know, an armor, but your arms are like joysticks that are controlling it remotely. The mechs from The Matrix. Titan suit equals aliens cargo maneuver. All right, so since we've had new people here, let me introduce you to the combat mech. Do you like mechs with melee weapons? Is the sky blue? Of course I want the fucking mechs with melee weapons. But this is the Virgil Zeus system. This is how it works. And you'll notice that it's very similar to what we see with the ATLS, where you actually have like the arm gyros and you step into it. So this is how it functions. We were talking about it earlier, Fast Card, which is why I had it ready. But I do know where these are located always. And this is another piece of the, so you can kind of see how it works. This is the pilot. There's a head piece which will slot down. You kind of like a helmet. You can see the arm gyros here, which are similar to the arm gyros on a ATLS. In fact, I can zoom in on it. So you can see like it's very similar in design to the ATLS. You can kind of see the slide down motion where you can get into it. You also see the unique, there's no arm here. There's an arm here, there's a hand here, but there's no hand here, which is, in my belief, I believe this is going to be the weapon attachment point. But yeah. The only Lancer system I want in Star Citizen is the one by Mastiff Press. What kind of weapon is that? It's probably a Volt weapon. It's a beam, Volt weapon. It's definitely, but you can see like the electric coming off of it. It's kind of stuff like that. Paul would end up doing nasty things with Full Desire, like having a an inverse sleepover with the Redeemer with the Penguin plushie and passenger. Yes. I would pull out if it required me to pull out a Redeemer for a ATLS combat suit, I would do it. It has to be with like a size 3 weapon with that system. It's probably more like a size 1 or a size 2, but yeah, it's a pretty nasty weapon. Now, the thing that you have to understand about the Titan suit, the combat Titan suits, is that they were built off of the industrial suits. So this design is based off of the ATLS, likely at least. So this is sort of a modified version of the ATLS, which is built from the chassis of an ATLS up to what it is, how it functions now. One day in 5+ years. Well, the thing is we know that this weapon system is being built for Squadron 42. It's been mentioned before in the Squadron 42 monthly reports that they were actively working on the rigging and the work on this system. And so we know that this is a Squadron concept art. So this is likely going to be at some point in the Squadron game. And if it's in Squadron, it will eventually make it to Star Citizen. The question is, how much of a guarded secret is this going to be, where they want to keep it for the Squadron release versus releasing it to the players to enjoy? Good night, Ackland. I remember that, like 2 years ago. Yeah, the actual monthly report came out 2 years ago now. It was like a February of 2023. Was when that report came out. So that was 2 years ago that they were working on it. It's likely done. And in fact, I believe the ATLS is also a Squadron asset because it makes sense for what they were doing with Squadron. And so they built the ATLS, either the ATLS first and then this, or they built this and then the ATLS, sort of like an homage to the Aliens franchise. And then they decided, hey, this works pretty well for Star Citizen. Let's put it into Star Citizen. Or they took the work from this and made the ATLS so that they could put it into Star Citizen earlier so it could make sense. Oh no, I don't think the player character will use it in Squadron. I think it's either going to be a Deus Ex Machina moment in the game, or it's going to be used by an enemy. So it'll be used as a boss battle, where like you're trapped in a room with an enemy inside a Titan suit, you have to fight them to survive. Because around the same time this showed up in the fucking monthly reports was when CIG was actively talking about doing boss battles in Squadron. Sometimes I worry CR is trying to create too many special surprises and avoid spoiling things for stuff far out in the future, which we may never see as a result due to perfectionism. That's a good concern, I think. But I think the question is more in this case, because this was never sold. No one has ever purchased an ATLS, a Zeus system, the virtual Zeus system. No one has ever bought this suit. People bought the Idris. So people bought the F7A. So that is a little bit more of a reason why not to put it in, because it's like, well, we don't have a need for it. I do think CIG will probably release it if they reach a point where they're like, we need to release something, fucking throw the goddamn battle mech in there, because people will buy it. Rampant theory mongering, the ATLS is CIG getting live testing data for the Titan suit. 100%. Guarantee it. People have the G12 and Ranger. Where are those? Not done, probably because CIG's ground game sucks. So other than the mechs, will they make ADP Mark IV and Defiance armors actual powered armor frames? I think CIG is going to add power to all of the armor, because they have life support systems. I fully believe CIG will add life support systems to armor so that you have power which you will have to manage in the game. I know what you're talking about, Scuba, and it's the giant, like, almost barge-looking ships that carry so much cargo. Likely those are either bespoke or they're Crusader. I mean, my best guess would be a Crusader barge, because they already have the what are they called? I think they're called the Titan. The big barges that fly around Orson. They already have those, so you're never gonna get that. That's definitely a Squadron asset. I don't think they're gonna make that into an actual like flyable ship. I imagine it's also remote controlled. I know they'd rather have money, but would they like specially acquired blueprint for crafting? Oh yeah. If CIG is making has made a rig for this sort of armor already with the ATLS and this, there are going to be fucking hundreds of these things. Because I don't think it takes CIG a ton of time to develop different armor types for these. I can see an anti-air version of this. I can see an like this weapon. I can see a melee version of this. I could see different versions, because this clearly, based off of this design with this sort of input here, that's not a hand, but that is a hand. So this is a hand gripping it, and you don't see the hand here. I believe this is a hard point for weapons. So you may be able to swap out different weapons that are this size, but you probably are limited by that. And there may be a version with two hands rather than this. a version with smaller hard point, but like rockets on the back or something like that. There'll be different versions of this suit and different industrial versions of it and different, like, for that kind of stuff. So there'll be different things of this, and crafting is definitely going to be on that page. I've been hearing rumblings. Your thoughts on AI blades coming this soon? Probably not soon, but almost certainly within the next year or so. You don't want artillery in Star Citizen, not if I'm around. I want artillery. Want tube artillery. You think we'll get anything close to this concept? The Titan is already effectively this concept. Not the Titan, the ATLS. The way you enter in the ATLS is the same way this functions here, where you climb in and you kind of rise up into the suit and it sort of like stands up. It's already there. The hand control is almost 1-for-1 with the ATLS. So I think we're going to get something very close to this, if not this exact suit. Oh yeah, Paul, two things. Heliopolis battle mech and Centaur battle armor. I recommend Paul, Berserker 01, Batman Show, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? We've been talking Titan suit. Titan suit. Titan suit. Combat Titan suit. Now, I know CIG hasn't come up with a reason why Titans exist and what the names are and that kind of stuff. Wait, what? Yeah. This is an old concept. This concept, all of these concepts have been around since 2017? And these were leaked. Real ale pub or more like a modern bar pub? Gastropub. More like a gastropub. That's hence the AstroPub name. 2016, I want to say. Yeah. Fairly, like, not at the beginning of the development, but like in the middle between the start and between the start and COVID. Was the animation rigging they talked about back in the day for the Zeus system suit? Yes. It was mentioned specifically in the Squadron 42 monthly report, but not in the Star Citizen monthly report. And it was for the Titan suit, is what they said. And this was the only Titan suit they had mentioned at the time. So this isn't the result of Wicklow's War Geo. No. This is a different suit. Like, this is a concept art, obviously. And if you notice these two are very similar in their design. They're much more bulky. You kind of see the lines and everything like that, whereas this is much more rounded. So it's clearly like they're kind of working through the design concepts, but something similar to this. Would you wear the suit? I wouldn't take it off. I'd feel naked without it. For those of you who don't know, I like space and science fiction stuff. We do cover a lot of space and science fiction stuff here. But my weakness has been forever giant stompy robots. I think mechs are cool. I think power armor and exosuits are cool as fuck. They're the coolest things in science fiction to me. So I am always a fan of whenever they're added to any game or franchise. And I'm paying more attention to a franchise that has them that doesn't. And so ever since this has been mentioned, I'm like, sign me up. I'm taking it. I know what I want from Invictus. I want a playable Squadron Demo. If CIG releases the Zeus suit this year, they will sell hundreds, millions, hundreds, thousands, millions of them. I will buy 2. Oh, but Paul, what if they're $90? Did I stutter? 2. Thank you, Patches. Yeah, I'm hoping for true medic armor as well. Can you fly your players wearing the suit? No, that's the limitations. You won't be able to fly ships with this suit on. This is a combat armor suit, so you wouldn't be able to do much outside of combat. But who's ever going to go into combat without one of these? You probably can't go into buildings with these. They're almost certainly not able to get into small buildings. So if you want to go into side passages and corridors, you can easily outflank these things and probably destroy them pretty easily. These aren't tanks. They're like weapons platforms. So they're probably going to survive a few more hits than a normal one would be, but like probably 1 or 2 shots with a railgun, this thing would be dead. EMPs too, yeah. We're going to do the shoot, but can't fly my ship. Why would you get somebody else to fly your ship? You have a giant stomping robot you can run around in. I know that this is a niche me thing, but I also know that other people would also do this. What do you think we should expect for the upcoming event? I know there's a lot that's been thrown around, but a lot of it seems to be super heavy speculation. In terms of the regen stuff, I couldn't tell you. My guess is scientific research, so it probably involve whatever crazy shit Elliot's cooking up in the background with him and his team are probably sitting there going, yes, whatever they're doing. If they're watching this right now, they're probably like, Paul, you have no fucking idea. Because that's the kind of mad lads they are. But they said that it's not combat focused, so whatever it is probably not going to be directly combat focused. Does it bring value to the suit? I need someone else. You're not going to do anything with the suit unless you're doing combat. Space Bird there. This is a suit that you would use with like in combination with other people. Like I said, it's like you can't really use a Polaris solo. I mean, you can, but as the game develops, it will become less and less effective solo. Exactly. Koreans got it. I mean, if you're in a mech, do you need anything else? I think not. Do you shoot a space pistol while flying your space fighter? Yeah, exactly. He's a Warhammer guy, suited life. Yeah. Not only am I a Warhammer guy, but the only someone asked earlier what army I would build. Once I'm finished with my current armies that I have, if I had money and time, I would build a knight army. An Imperial Knight army. Because I like stompy robots. I already have a Tau army, which is mostly battle suits. I still have yet to get the Taunar Supremacy or the big one, like the one between the Riptide and the Taunar. I can't remember that one is. Well, I already have that. I have like 4 dreadnoughts for my Space Marines, 2 for my Dark Angels, and 2 for my other Marines. The Zeus DS. A dreadnought version in Star Citizen. So the suit is not for a solo player. You could still use it as a solo player, but you'd probably need to carry it around with other ships. You're going to be limited in being able to use a combat suit. Similar to like, you can use a Geo solo, but it's probably, you still need a ship to be able to transport your Geo. I use the ATLS all the time for my cargo missions, but you still need a ship to be able to carry the ATLS. So, like, I could see certain types of combat missions for players with these suits by transporting the suit to a location, getting in the suit, and then going out to go to that combat mission. But it'll be like ground combat. Yeah, but if you hot drop the suit, you have to get back to your ship at some point. You need someone to pick you up. I'm gonna need a Zeus suit with a portable artillery cannon. But you hear Zeus suits because that's the name, right now at least, the name of the, it's called the Zeus system, not necessarily Zeus suit, of the combat Titan suit from Star Citizen. Because it's made by Virgil Ltd, and it's called the Zeus system. But that was before they decided to bring back the Zeus as a ship. I think they'll change the name. Imagine a dropship with all mechs. I mean, the Asgard. That's from what they've described of it. I could see the Asgard as being that. It's designed to carry like vehicles, but if it can carry a tank, it could probably carry 6 of these things. Suit, riot. No, Zeus suit. Any armor needs a solid support team. Yeah, just like any tank will need to support infantry. I wonder how often the Marines use Zeus systems. Might influence how available citizens it will be. The Zeus system was built for the Marines specifically. They're kind of like designed for shock troops for the Marines, and they are actively used. But the nature of weapons in the Star Citizen universe, especially military weapons, is as of 2945, if there's a military weapon that isn't highly classified, it probably is going to be in civilian hands at some point. So I could imagine these would be fairly available for your average citizen, average person. Will the suit have missiles? We don't know. I can imagine it will, because if they have the rigging for one suit done, they'll instead of making the suit entirely modular, they'll just make different versions of the suit. So versions that are designed for more missile based, so versions that are more melee based, close range, long range, so on and so forth, because that just prints money. So what are the fuck the Vanduul suits? This. That's the fuck the Vanduul suit. Yeah, those are regular Marines behind it. So these are Marines. You can actually see the Marine logo here on its arm. These are like for Marines. They're a little bit farther away, but this is the comparison. That's a Cyclone. These are Cyclones behind it as well. Here's the thing. There were files for a Titan suit in game. So like when 4.0 was first released, there was a bunch of files mined from the a bunch of data mined from the files, and one of the data that was mined from the files, I think it was 3.2.4 instead of 4.0. One of the big things they found was files for the Zeus system, for the Titan suit, and one of the options was melee. So they did have battle suits in the game files with melee options. Those Marines are gonna die. They're behind them. And again, this is it, the kind of broken down a little bit, so you can kind of see it being repaired and maintenance and stuff like that. I like this reflection here because it's clearly this is the guy looking in here and he's got a reflection in a window. You can see the window here. I've always interpreted this, knowing what I know about the lore, as this is like one of the founders of Virgil, who's just like staring at this. It's like, I am going to kill so many fucking Vanduul with this thing. Because if you don't know, this entire suit is built out of pure hate. This system was built as a genocide suit. It's built by survivors of one of the systems that fell to the Vanduul from the Virgil system. And this suit was designed specifically to kill Vanduul. So, a device created by pure hatred. Genocidal hatred of an alien species. What I'm saying is I love the story of the children of Cyrene. The Cyrene was the planet, which was the inhabited planet. The fact that, because like throughout the lore, they are petty fuckers. Holy shit, are they petty. Every single person in the lore who's been mentioned as who's descended from Cyrene is basically like, lives, eats, and breathes murdering Vanduul. Like they mourn the loss of their homeworld in a way that is like, would make a Cadian proud. Like, Cadia stands, remember Reach, avenge Cyrene. That's the Star Citizen version of Cadia, avenge Cyrene. Powered by the spiritual resonance of teeth sucking and spiritual pressure of teeth gritting. Yeah. And I just love that story. I'm a sucker for last stands and for fallen people seeking revenge on it. And there's just I've said it in the video on it, when I did on them. I'm just like, they're Star Citizens versions of Cadians, which immediately makes them better in my opinion. And on top of that, like the fact that they built the mechs, like, it's like, damn, fuck, how could you be more perfect? Squadron 99, you mean Squadron 66? No, it was 60, was it 66? And it's like 68? I can't remember the name of it. The Lost Squad, yeah. They changed the because the number was associated with neo-Nazi shit, so they tried to change it. I think it's Squadron 67 now, or 65. Oh, 88, yeah. It's 89, yeah. Squadron 89. That's Lost Squad. We big bad, so we built some perfect killing machines, yeah. Oh, the 6th platoon? Yeah. As Tree0311 says, if CIG were ever to make an offshoot game in the Star Citizen universe from Squadron 42, it would be called 6th Platoon. 6th Platoon are the special forces of the special forces. They're the SEAL team of Star Citizen. They are the most elite Marines in the UEE. They're special forces that are sent in the most impossible tasks possible. They border on the line of don't exist. kind of thing. So they're tier 1 JSOC, basically, yeah. But they've been around since the second Tavaran War. Like Nails, which is Star Citizen's versions of Hell Pods or ODST drop pods, they were pioneered by 6th Platoon. The Tavaran service marker is where if you fought in one of the Tavaran wars, the first or second Tavaran war, you got like a marker that you served on it. There's the UNE Unification War Medal, which is where if you fought in the UNE Unification Wars, which is the first real conflict that unified humanity had with itself. They don't exist so much, we keep finding their medals in weird places, yeah. CIG has effectively said that nails are military technology that we will not see. I do believe that CIG can't stop people from building hell pods, and people will make drop pods in game out of things they can make them work. They already do with like ATLSs and such. I think they'll do a civilian version of a nail. We'll see what it is. Like couches, yeah. What do we know other than that they're secretive? We know a little bit of their history. Like I said, they pioneered nail drop pods. They have one of their biggest events was nail drop podding into Oberon during the Second Tavaran War, infiltrating the habitat at Oberon because the Tavaran had taken over the place. So they stealthed their way in and avoiding contact, got into a refining facility and blew it up so that they couldn't refine Quantanium, and escaped with minimal to no contact, but were able to completely escape and blow up the tunnels to make it completely useless. They once defeated an entire Tavaran landing force by accident. They basically were cut off way behind in friendly territory, but they were way away from any supply lines. And they accidentally discovered an entire Tavaran landing force, which had snuck into the system. And they blew it up. 6th Platoon are ghosts. We know what they've done because of old engagements, but any modern engagements with 6th Platoon is never happened. And like most, JSOC, if things go well, no one knows what the fuck happened because it never happened. We've seen their tracks, yeah. Ex-6th Platoon members have gone out and been public about their experiences in 6th Platoon, but they're very rare to come out in public. They don't talk. The Winter Soldiers of the Star Citizen universe, yeah. I'd imagine that if we ever got to see 6th Platoon, they'd probably be cybered to fucking back. They'll probably completely have replaced like parts of their body to become better at what they do. They're also just really, really good. Like I know, like I can count on one hand people I served with who have served besides or were stationed with tier 1 JSOC dudes. Yeah. So like Marines are already sort of a special forces, unit. They do have the traditional role of Marines, but they're their own because they're their own branch. But they do have basically any sort of quick reaction force or specialized team, like infiltration, reconnaissance, assassination, sapper, any of that kind of stuff, is going to be a dedicated platoon or unit inside the Marines. Because the Marines are the most elite service in the UEE. You don't join the Marines, you get chosen to join the Marines. So during basic training, they pick the best candidates out of basic training and put them into Marine training. Oh, UEE. I mean, that's the inspiration, is things like the Air Force's Tier 1, the Marine Raiders, SAS, that kind of stuff. Yeah, CIA contractor level stuff. Yeah. Hey, remember how I said it was going to be shorter than usual? It probably is. I'm going to end it in a couple minutes, but you're just doing your training and someone taps you on the shoulder and you just disappear. Yeah. And the best part is, you know what the first part of Marine training is? They give you basic gear and stick you onto a frozen planet. And they go, survive. We'll be back in like a month. Don't die. They monitor them, obviously, but like they stick them into a frozen wasteland and tell them to survive. And that frozen wasteland happens to be the homeworld of the Marines, their main base. So they're Space Wolves, yeah. There's some like heavy references to Space Marines, like Astartes, in the Space Marine UE Marine training, stuff like that. They are a cross between like ODSTs and Astartes. So they have tails and claws. Got it. Yeah. So once you've survived initial training, then the training actually begins. That survival is just, do you have the gumption to make it as a Marine? And if you have the gumption to make it as a Marine, then they bring you down into their base, which is under the planet. And in that base is where you train. Very few people have ever been inside that base. Marines have, but outside of the Marines, almost nobody goes into that base. Almost nobody knows what it looks like. Very few, there are very special search and rescue teams who get to train with the Marines at their headquarters, but that's about it. Basically like corpsmen, you know. Have the UE ever experimented with super soldier Spartan-esque enhancements? We don't know, but I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. Ethics are not as, they're very flexible in the universe of Star Citizen, so I wouldn't be surprised. It's like the old Navy SEAL ad where it's just a beach at night, and after a moon comes out, footprints appear. Yeah. So that's why, like, in the Moro tour. So at the end of the Moro tour, or not the Moro tour, which one is it? Oh, it's the vertical slice. In the 142 vertical slice, you see the Marines escorting these like criminals out of the MPUV. And they're being kind of cocky. There's a reason why the Stanton only has like 6 of them, because they don't need more than 6. 6 Marines is plenty. Like, to deal with the things they deal with, yeah, fine. So do the Marines pick from the advocacy too? Typically, no. The advocacy is a separate branch. But there are many advocacy members who were Marines. Like, for instance, Special Agent in charge of the Stanton system. I'm blanking on her name, but we all know her and love her. Why am I blanking on her name? Dooley. Weapons for y'all. Dooley is a Marine, or was a Marine. She was in the UE Marines before she joined the advocacy. Yeah, it's more common the other way around. Because Marines are super self-reliant, because, you know, that's kind of what they're trained to do. Complete the mission even if your entire squad is dead. So they make good advocacy agents. Says a lot about the Marines on the Gauntlet. They got worked by the Vandul. There's just so many to the borders. Yeah. And if you noticed, you only saw like 6 Marines on the Gauntlet. There's probably no more than 12 on the Gauntlet. It's one of those, it's Worf syndrome, where like they're super badass, but the Vanduul are also just casually better. Like the average Vanduul warrior would basically eat the fucking lunch of a Marine because they're basically armored. You know, a 6 foot, highly trained, highly equipped and experienced Marine versus a 7 foot tall, genetically designed killing machine. Like, if the Marine had to jump on them, they could probably do it. And if they had the right equipment, they could probably deal with it. But just defending a ship, yeah, they're getting their lunch eat. Hence why they built the fucking death machine to give to the Marines. A fucking elemental Marine boarding an IS ship would put IS Marines through the ringer, yeah. The average duel would walk into a civilian office, a break room, and eat everyone in there in a minute. Yeah. Someone asked me for my favorite ship. Favorite ship or favorite ship type? Because my favorite ship is the Corsair. Probably will be forever. I don't use it often enough, but I often find myself always coming back to the Freelancer series. So the Freelancers in general are probably my favorite ship. But I think the Corsair is still going to end up being my main ship in the future. Fuck you, Redeemer. The Boob Lancer. Sounds like the 100 men versus Silverback meme that's going around. Yeah. Effectively. I mean, again, what this is a mechanical Vanduul. This armor is humanity building its own version of a Vanduul. That's what it is. So that's why it exists. It exists solely to kill the Vanduul as a means of basically matching what's the meme? Look what they did to match a fraction of our power. This is like the UEE being like, bet. God made man and Vanduul. Virgil made them equal. I love that. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, Corrin, that's what I'm talking about. Corrin is a hell world. It's a death world. Yes, they also make the advocacy armor. Virgil does. What's up with my Boob Lancer? I was just saying it's my favorite star. The Freelancer series in general. You mean not Human's ideal environment? I mean like Greenland in the winter. The Arctic in the summer. It's breathable atmosphere. That's about it, though. So they drop them in bare bones equipment and armor for 6 months. Good God. Yep. On that hell world. Is it 6 months? That was a month. Yeah, 6 months. Yeah. All Marines are selected to serve from the Army or Navy to go through 6 months of rigorous training on Corrin. While the majority of the recruits' training takes place underground, war games and other training exercises are conducted on Corrin's harsh surface to prepare each recruit for the rigors of fighting in potentially deadly environments. So yeah, if I remember correctly, it's like for the first week or month, it's survival training, and they just dump you on the surface. And then once you go down to the base, then you train down in the base, and you come back up to fight, to do war games and other things on the surface. To give you context, today Corrin remains entirely within the purview of the Marines. The planet is surrounded by a no-fly zone and is patrolled at all times by a fleet which is headed by a Bengal, all controlled by the Marines. Ships that have not been cleared to pass through Corrin space are subject to shoot-to-kill orders. They don't give you a warning, they just shoot you. You get too close, they just kill you. Non-military ships have been cleared to land by High Command and are only allowed to land on Corrin's surface, with the stipulation that they do not enter the underground base. Because the base itself is self-sufficient, this happens very rarely. Kraken or BMM? I have a BMM, but I like the Kraken. Corrin's position beyond Killian's frost line make it impossible to terraform. The Marines instead established a sealed colony as their initial base, and soon expanded underground with factories, water processing plants, and waste recycling facilities, staffed and run by Marines and high-level clearance contractors. Additionally, budget reports from 2611 revealed that archaeologists are raising arcologies for raising livestock and growing produce were added to Corrin's surface. In 2633, construction appeared to be complete and all imports to the planet ceased. It's basically a self-sufficient planet. We have blades. It's been brought up a little bit. We don't know what it means. I don't know. It's probably engineering based, honestly. Good idea. I'm going to bring that up with my org, have them drop new members off at Microtech with a white suit and go, okay, bye. Again, they do all of this because this is what they're given. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is Corrin, to be fair. If that's what this originally was. One of the few images we have of Corrin's base is a picture of a gladiator. That should give you an idea, like the gladiator bomber. That should give you an idea how rare it is to see inside of Corrin. It's like, oh yeah, the only one you can see is the ship that literally has killed more Vanduul tonnage than any other ship in the fleet. It's in Killian. So it's the headquarters of the UE. It's like MacArthur is there, which is the Navy headquarters. It's basically the military headquarters of the UE. It's the Pentagon of the UE. All of the headquarters of all of the different services are in Killian. Not going to talk about the TAC? You missed it. We were talking about the TAC for hours ago. There, Jin. Mr. AstroPub was looking at the Xanthul suit recently and made me wonder about potential Banu-themed armor. Good idea, bad idea? What do you think? I think it would be a great idea. Now you got to remember, the Banu kind of make whatever the fuck they want. And so a Banu suit would look like taking a Xi'an suit, a Tabaran suit, and a human suit and smashing them together with Banu bases. It'd be great. It'd be cool. I'd love to see a Banu armor. QE Marine Coup plotline. Yeah, it's one of the concept arts for the Gladiator. I'll bring it up. find it. It's disappeared from the wiki. There we go. TAA. There it is. This is the surface of corn. Not much. What's your favorite planet to hold Invictus or IAE and why? Fucking Castra, baby. Castra for Invictus would be perfect. Just mwah. So the Marine training is the foundation of Star Marines from Warhammer 40k. To a degree, yeah. I think for IAE, Terra would probably be the best planet. Other than the original planet that IAE was supposed to be on. I mean, current planets. I think Crusader would be is good Invictus, and Microtech would probably be good IAE. Honestly, Microtech is probably the best planet to have any of those events on because it's one of the few planets that's not a garbage planet. Like, it's the only planet that's not a garbage planet. Like Hurston, but it also has like you can like drive around and stuff. So if there's any ground vehicles, you want to have that ability. ArcCorp is nice. I like the idea of having ArcCorp as a place for like IAE, but I can also see the restrictions for it. What's the next event after Invictus? It's well, there's First Contact, so there's Alien Week. Then it's Foundation Festival. Then it's I want to say it's CitizenCon, and then it's IAE. Grim, that's basically what I talked about earlier. There's Gamescom, yeah, but that's not really an in-game event. Neither is Alien Week, though. We're talking about in-game event. It's going to be IAE. Oh, there's Pirate Week in September, right? And there is Day of the Vara in October. That's after CitizenCon. You're good. A lot of people came in late. Yeah, Drake is getting put up to the big show. They don't have to do their defense con anymore. We talked a little bit about that, how I think the lore reason why is because Drake's more kindly and cuddly image probably got them a seat into Invictus. And I think the actual reason, the meta reason why, is because, do y'all remember what happened in IAE last year? They couldn't get shit to work at all at IAE. So I assume the reason why we don't see it is because IAE is just sort of, IAE didn't work. So instead of doing two different halls at the same time, they haven't had time to figure out what the fuck went wrong and just ignored it. And they just said, fuck it, let's just do the hall for 2 days and move on from that. All right, y'all. I'm going to call it. I know we ended up having a good conversation, though. It was nice to talk a little bit more about my passions, like the Titan suits and the Children of Cyrene. I'd love to see more characters who are descended from Cyrene, because it's such an interesting archetype that seems to have come out of refugees from Cyrene, especially like Vega too. they're basically Vegans. The Vegans are they're built different, for sure. Because remember, Kastak is also Vega. It was named after the capital city of Cyrene. So, like, and I fucking love Kastak. I know, speaking on IAE, what do you think we'll see this year for future ship-wise? So current, we're going to get the Perseus or the Ironclad. I think we'll get the Ironclad at IAE, and we'll get the Perseus earlier than that. We'll probably, it's hard to tell. I mean, some of those ships that were in the silhouettes, for sure. Question, where would you rank the chance of getting backlog ships this year? All of them? 0. Some of them, I don't know, 10%. We already kind of know what we're gonna get. Like, the closest we're gonna get to a backlog ship that was like an old backlog ship is the Pioneer. That's about it. The Perseus 2, which we know is a backlog ship. But like the Orion, no. The G12, no. The Ranger, no. The Merchantman, no. The Hull B, no. The D, no. The E, no. The Raylan, no. The I think of the other ones. Pick 3 backlog ships. They show up at done at IAE. What would you pick? In terms of like what I want or what I think? Because if what I think, it would be the Perseus, the excuse me, whew, the Perseus, the Pioneer, and the Ironclad. Like done, flyable, in. Yeah, those are the 3 backlog. What I'd want, the G12, the Ranger, and the Hull B. Anything beyond those is just not a lot of point. E1, no? Not really. The E1 is one of those ships where it's nice to have, but its main purpose is transport, like people transport, and we're not going to have that in game at 1.0. So I wouldn't want the E1 until you actually had gameplay for it. But like the B, the Hull B, we have gameplay for it. The Ranger, we can drive on planets already, so yeah. The G12, yeah, that should have been done a while ago. The Pioneer makes sense, because we're going to have that soon. I'd much prefer CIG focus more on bringing up old ships to new standards. Like, the Freelancer needs an internal rework, the Starlancer needs an internal rework, not Starlancer, the Starfarer needs the internal rework. The Reclaimer needs an internal rework. Zeus MR. Yeah, the Zeus MR would be another one I'd like to see. The 600i rework, yeah, because like there's no reason not to have the 600i. It's got gameplay in the game. It's already got it in the game. Crucible, not until we actually see repair. I think the Crucible is going to get the biggest overhaul because the Crucible is going to have to be a repair and fabrication ship. Probably going to grow significantly. The Genesis doesn't make a lot of sense. The Vulcan doesn't make a lot of sense to have repair and refuel. Yeah, the Connie too. The Connie needs an internal rework too. But like I said, the Connie, the Freelancer, the Starfarer, and the Reclaimer, they all just need internal reworks. Their externals are fine. They're not good, they're fine. The Endeavor is not coming out until after 1.0. But yeah, it's going to be a huge one. Yeah, the Wrath did get a rework, but it's mostly a sort of superficial rework. They just took a lot of the like spindles inside the engines and then just replaced it with a cargo bay. Like a cargo bay. That's not the same as what I'm talking about. Like, the Starfarer needs a ground-up rebuild in terms of its internals. They have to take the internals and they have to build the internals out properly. Same like the 890 needs that. The 600 needs that. You spent 7 months trying to make a motorcycle work and making it not fall over sucked. Yeah, I know it's difficult to do, and if CIG is going to do a motorcycle, they're going to build more than one. There's just no reason for them to build a Ranger, and that's it. They're going to want to have multiple motorcycles in the game if they're going to make the Ranger. Do I think it'll increase in price? Yes. I don't know where or how, but it will. It'll probably be more expensive than the whole B by a lot, but still cheaper than, say, something like the Taurus. Nothing on the MSR, but I also think the MSR needs to rework. Oh, all right. I'm going to call it a bed, go to bed. But I will say, I think the one thing that CIG needs to prioritize when we get closer to 1.0 is the Aurora. Because the Aurora needs to be the best ship in the game. It needs to have the sleekest lines. It has to be the most easiest to understand. It has to be perfect. Because it's the first ship everyone has. That and the Mustang. The Mustang, I think, is fine. It just needs a little bit of tweaking to get it to the right spot. But it needs to be good at 1.0, not before then. I wouldn't want the Aurora to get a full rework until all of the base systems that function for like damage, travel, engineering, all of those systems. Every one of those needs to be in the game before it gets a rework. The whole B's not going to go up. The whole B's remained the same, even though, or it's already gone up in price from its original price. It's not going to go up any further. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. I will be back with Pup and Plays Fridays for some Star Citizen. Tomorrow will be a little earlier than normal, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll be going for a couple hours, and then we'll call it there. This Saturday, we're going to be doing, and I have to make this announcement, I'm going to be doing a call-in show. So it's going to be an After Dark special where we're going to get together, and I'm going to grab some people who, if I can, and we're just going to take questions from the audience. So I'll make a post on the YouTube for Captain's Table asking for questions, and feel free to come up with your own questions. We're just going to talk about the state of Star Citizen as it is, you know, what you like, what you dislike, anything like that, to sort of vaguely kind of feel out what the community is feeling right now. It'll probably be a shorter show as a result, so like 2 hours maximum. And then the week after that, I have to grab a bunch of info runners together so we can do a ship show for the week before Invictus, to talk all about that. Though that might also be an Invictus. Well, no, I'm not gonna suffer. I'm not gonna make X suffer through a Captain's Table and his own stuff. So we'll do that beforehand, and then we'll do some Invictus shows for May. And we'll get back to normal sort of Captain's Table discussions after Invictus is over with, so early June. But it's going to be a crazy month. The Banu video is done. It is out for people who have YouTube memberships and for Patreon. And I am working on the fighters and bombers of the UAE Navy. That will be done hopefully this weekend, if not sooner than that, for people. And it'll be out for everybody else next weekend. And then I will, after that's done, I'm going to be working on the complete history of Aegis Dynamics. And that should be out around the same start of Invictus. So you'll be able to check that out like the first weekend of Invictus. We'll see if I can get it out before Invictus, like that Wednesday before Invictus, so you can have a full understanding of it. If not, it may take a little bit longer, but that's, people like those complete histories. After that, I'm going to do another look at Regen. I'll talk about Regen and the Regen crisis, where it comes from, all that sort of thing. And then we're going to be hitting bigger topics as we go through with lore. I'm also, this week, maybe this weekend, going to be releasing my first video kind of review of the Aurora and the Mustang. I'm just gathering footage for that right now so I can get that. And then I'm going to be doing a complete review on the Drake, all of the different variants, their advantages, disadvantages, as part of my series on the AstroPub YouTube, where I'm going to break down all of the ships in Star Citizen, sort of like goods and bads, sort of like why you should get them, looking at the statistics, looking at the vibes, looking at their role, looking at the lore, and just kind of giving you an overview of what they are so you have a better idea of what's going on. So The whole C jumped 150 on the release. It jumped 150 on release, and so did all of the other ships. The whole B, the D, the E, all also jumped at the same time the whole C did. I was paying attention to that because that was one of the big things where I was like, either they're going to change the value of these ships or they're going to increase the price. And they just increased the price. Anyways, thank you for hanging out. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good night. And like I said every time, hope to see you someday in the black.